Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, Shalom. I want to give a shout out to Sal at the Big Talk for You. What's going on? Hey, the Big Talk for You is where it's at. You know, get your verses straight, put your cell phone record, come on board, present what you got. If anyone try to cut you off, Sal will just mute that guy's mic. You know, he'll let you express what you got, he'll let you present what you studied for. Let the audience decide if what you got, you know, is inside the scriptures. Debate Talk for You, once again, shout out to Sal, terrific job. Hey, you can press the number 1 or find yourself on a lion's den.
What it do, people? It's your boy B, Lit Dive, and I'm chilling over here with my man, Sal Showtime, man. And I'm just here to let y'all know that there's only one place that you need to go to hear the word from the word, man. And that's at Debate Talk for You, man. I'm going to slow it down, man, because a lot of people slow. I speak fast because I'm from New York, but, you know, I'm going to slow it down, man. That's Debate Talk for You, hosted by my man, Sal Showtime. You dig? Keep it tuned, man. You already know what it is.
Peace and greetings, everyone. This is Brother Hawaiian Sop and Brother Mala'ak. We look forward to seeing you all on November 28th at the event Despierta, showing the true origin of the indigenous people of the Americas. The event will be located at 1680 Lexington Ave at the Julia Burgos Latino Cultural Center between 105th and 106th Street on the east side of Harlem. For more information, please reach out to us at afro.taino@yahoo.com. afro.taino@yahoo.com. Once again, Saturday, November 28th from 6 to 10 p.m. We look forward to seeing everybody there. $15 tickets in advance, $20 at the door. We pray all is well. Take care.
Greetings from the I Love Being Black movement. We have the largest black Facebook page with over 6 million fans worldwide, and we're offering advertising options at affordable rates. If you want to increase your reach with loads of new fans, then this is absolutely the best way. We also offer seminars, consultations, and strategic planning services by Kumi Rauf, aka the Social Strategist. Why not contact us today at ilovebeingblack.com or call us at 310-807-5775. Cheers.
This one's for the fans out there all across the globe. This is Debate Talk for You Radio, and I'm your host, Sal Showtime. And I want to thank each and every listener out there for sending in their donations, supporting the show, keeping us on the air. Everybody know that Debate Talk for You is funded for the people and by the people. So once again, I appreciate everybody out there that's been sending in their financial support. I just want to let people know about the live event that we're going to do in 2016. Of course, want to have everybody out to show your support. We have thousands of listeners on the radio. And check out Debate Talk for You. But if you want to see it live, it's got to be funded by the people. So go to the website, www.gofundme.com/Debate Talk for You Live. That's www.gofundme.com/Debate Talk for You Live. It's going to be the first live event for Debate Talk for You, the Lions Den. Come see it live 2016 in the summertime. But we need the support of the people out there. So once again, go to the website, show your support. One love.
Greatness attracts greatness. Talk with the Titans host here, Callum L. And you're now locked into Debate Talk for You Radio.
My name's Kiaja, and if you want to hear the best debates in the world, come check out Debate Talk for You, hosted by my dad, Sal Showtime. Bye.
You don't want to miss the best debate show via internet? Debate Talk for You Radio. Check out the schedule from Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time or at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. To check out the archives, go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Debate Talk 4 and the letter U. You can listen via phone or via Skype by dialing that number 646-716-7320. Again, that's 646-716-7320. You can also go to iTunes to the podcast section. Just type in the search box Debate Talk 4 and letter U, and you'll see the show pop up absolutely free. You can check out season 1 all the way up to the present season and enjoy the entire show. So keep it locked on Debate Talk for You Radio. Check us out.
This is Frank Nowak, coming straight out of Phoenix, Arizona, a.k.a. the Soldier of Faith, a.k.a. the Catholic. When I'm not exegeting scriptures according to the early church or studying the church fathers, I'm listening to Debate Talk for You with Sal Showtime. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Sic ut erat in principio, et nunc, et in seculum seculorum. Amen.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
This is Ronald Francoeur representing from Atlanta, Georgia. And when I'm not busy in the studio, I'm checking out Debate Talk for You Radio. Keep up the great work, Sal Showtime.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another show. You're now listening to Season 6 of Debate Talk for You Radio. I'm your host, Sal Showtime, and welcome to the Roundtable Episode 21. That's right, guys. It's the Roundtable Episode 21. I know we had a lot of classic roundtables in the past. For those of you that are new to the show, you never heard any of the roundtables, all you got to do is go to the website, www.blogtalkradio.com/Debate Talk for You. Check them out. We have many different segments on the show for the listeners out there. And right now we're going to have the Roundtable Episode 21. Today's show is entitled Non-Believers versus Theists. Once again, today's show is entitled Non-Believers versus Theists. So we're going to have another classic. Like I said, it's going to be a great conversation. I invited some special guests on the show. Do me a favor, guys. If you guys are listening, do me a favor, press number 1. And that'll put you on top of the switchboard. We have a lot of listeners tuning into the show, so I need a special guest to press number 1, and that'll let me know that you guys are here, ready to be, introduced to the world of Debate Talk for You Radio. Of course, I want to thank all the international listeners out there that's been checking out the show, people that's in the UK, We have listeners all across the globe out there that's checking out the show. We appreciate you being here. Everybody on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, that's checking out the show. We appreciate you being here live tonight on Debate Talk for You. Once again, if you're a new listener, this is the show where you can call in live with your questions and your comments. All you got to do is dial that number, 646-716-7320. Once again, you can call in, dial that number. All I ask that you, when you call in, there's no foul language. Keep it clean, keep it professional. Again, this is the round table. We have 4 special guests that's going to be here live. I'm just waiting for everybody to arrive. Once again, my special guests, if you're out there, do me a favor, just press number 1 on your phone, and that'll let me know that you're here. I see you guys. Okay, I see 2 of you guys. I need about maybe 2 more special guests. And again, I appreciate you guys for being here. But before we begin the show, you already know I got to go through a few brief announcements. As usual, send me an email at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. That's debatetalk, the number 4 and the letter U, @gmail.com. Go to facebook.com/debatetalkforyou. That's facebook.com/debatetalkforyou to keep up with the show's schedule. Also, make sure you support and press the like button. Go to iTunes, go to the podcast section, and type in the search box Debate Talk, the number 4, and letter U, and you'll see the show pop up absolutely free. The great thing about the iTunes podcast, once again, you can check out season 1 all the way to the present season of Debate Talk for You absolutely free. You can take it anywhere. You can take it to the gym. You can, take it while you're taking a walk. Listen to it anywhere. Download it to your tablet, your iPad, whatever you have, and never miss another episode. So again, I highly recommend that you want to check out the show entirely and hear the many segments of Debate Talk for You. Subscribe to the iTunes podcast. It's absolutely free. Go to Instagram.com/Debate Talk for You. We have some videos up on YouTube. Go to YouTube.com/Debate Talk for You. Of course, we're on Twitter at Showtime DT4U. That's Showtime, D as in David, T as in Tom, the number 4, and letter U. Keep in mind, guys, I have a variety of special guests that come on the show, so you're going to hear a lot of different information on here. And again, you got to take down your notes. I always tell people to take down your notes and make sure you go back and do your independent research. So whatever information you hear, again, like I said, take down your notes and do independent research. Feel free to call in. Like I said, you must hold our elders, teachers, and scholars accountable for the information being presented to you on live radio. This is a family show, so remember, there's no foul language. I got to stress that, no foul language, and also no name calling. Keep it to a minimum. The views and opinions expressed on all segments on Debate Talk Free Radio are entirely those of the special guests, and it's not in any way reflect the opinions of the host. I have a lot of things coming up, actually. I have a lot of debates I'm actually trying to work out for the future. I want to make sure they're official, though, but I have a lot of great things coming up. Actually, one of the things I'm going to bring up is I have a debate coming up with Brother Josh and Ankh from the Emunah squad. We're working on that debate. We had a conference call maybe about last week, and it turned out pretty well. So, you may see it. It might possibly happen live on Debate Talk for You. Everybody knows Brother Josh. He's from Absolute Bible Truth. And, he's definitely a great contender. They call him the grand champion alliance then versus the Emunah squad. Hopefully we officially may make that go down. We're just trying to come up with a title, actually, and that everybody agree upon. And after that, we're going to set it up officially. And I have some other contenders that I'm going to have here real soon on Debate Talk. A few new contenders that's never stepped in the lines than before. That's going to be the first time stepping in the lines then. So we're trying to bring new things to you guys out there that's checking out the show. But let's go. Let's see who's out there, the special guests. Let's see if everybody's here. Okay, I see my brother Shelton Henderson. What's going on, Shelton? How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sal. I'm doing great. I hope you are doing wonderful as well. I appreciate the opportunity once again to be on Debate Talk for You. It's always a pleasure and honor. And looking forward to a great conversation this evening.
Now, people who don't know, Shelton Henderson, you're one of the main reasons why I set up the show, because for those who don't know, behind the scenes, you send me an inbox, let me know you kind of wanted to discuss a few things, you have some questions that you want to, actually present to a theist, things of that nature. Anything you want to expound on that a little bit before we continue introducing everybody else? You can go ahead.
Sure. Really, my area of interest is really basic, basic questions that we, in having conversations from my end as a non-believer with theists, before jumping way to the end, just real basic questions about the origins of the belief system of most theists. So that's what my question lies at, before we get really deep in talking about, what the real name of the Creator is and who is his son and what his real name, and battling back and forth over more complicated things down the line. My interest is really basic. I call it a childish interest in how these things came to be, and where do we start off, and build. What is the foundation of people's beliefs? Because I believe that's truly never, not much time is spent on that. So that's what my area of interest is, and like I said, I'm looking forward to see how the believers are able to answer these questions and then basically substantiate their beliefs and be able to present it in a convincing way. If that's what, I believe that's if I was on the other side, I would want to be on a solid foundation for my belief system. That's where I'm coming from. Yeah.
My brother, that's Shelton Henderson. Once again, we appreciate you being on the panel right here tonight on Debate Talk Radio. My next special guest, let me see who's on the panel here. We have my brother LaRon Campbell. LaRon, welcome to the show. Actually, I contacted him last minute. One other special guest that I originally invited couldn't make it due to family issues. Of course, I send my regards to my special guest supposed to have been here, but we have LaRon Campbell here tonight representing for the Theists. Welcome, LaRon. Welcome to the show.
What's going on? Peace to everybody. Peace to the brother on the panel, Shelton Henderson. Peace, brother Sal, man. How you feeling, man?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Let people know a little bit about what you got going on, man. Anything you have going on lately? Let us know.
Man, I just been cooking up for reals, man. I'm out here, basically dealing with a lot of things and science and historical stuff. Overall, I haven't did any shows lately. I just been in these books because when I get ready to come out, it's a lot of stuff that's going to get put to rest. Dealing with within the Amun-Ra squad, Team Osiris, a lot of things we finna put to bed night, and we finna prove this God thing is for real. So this gonna be a good dialogue tonight, because like I say, just as this brother got some questions, I got some questions too, and the brother has failed in the past to answer, so he better be ready to answer tonight because it's on and it's popping with it, So that's my thing, man, and that's what I've been studying on. I'm continuing to be strong in the faith. I'm looking forward to seeing that debate with Unc and also the brother from ABT, Josh. He has some good information. I believe that's going to be a very good debate. And it seems to me, he already know the tactics and how to deal with the brother already, because you gotta have tactics and you gotta be wise as a serpent when you're dealing with them brothers, because them brothers is real slick with it. So, man, that's about it, man. I'm ready to get this thing rolling. I'm interested to know who else gonna be on this panel, because I didn't know who was gonna be on this panel actually.
All right, man, that's LaRon Campbell. I appreciate you being here, man. I called you short notice, but I appreciate you being here, man, live on Debate Talk Radio. My next special guest, I believe it's our first time here on Debate Talk Radio. I actually, one of my friends on Facebook, I decided to, I like to bring new people on the panel at times. This is Emunah Yisrael. Welcome to the show.
Shalom, welcome. Can I be heard?
Loud and clear, loud and clear. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Welcome. Greetings to you. All praise be to the Most High, the Holy One. I pray everybody is well this night. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to this conversation on this blessed Shabbat evening.
All right, so tell the people a little bit about yourself, like how long you've been studying, bring me a brief testimony, things of that nature. Go ahead.
Basically, my name is Emunah. I've been studying for many years. My father is a studier, so I kind of picked it up from him and always grew up having these type of conversations. And over the years, just, continued in my studies and really see how, as I gain this knowledge, how I can make it real-time applicable so that it's not only just a conversation, that I can actually see it manifest in my life and help others around me. So that's really what I'm about. I'm about taking information that we know and applying it so that we can see real change in real time. So that's basically who I am and been studying for many years.
Once again, we appreciate you being here live on Debate Talk Radio. My next special guest, he actually been here, man, from season 1 of Debate Talk for You. It's been a long time, and actually this brother, you know, I heard his show. Before I even had a show, I heard his show on Blog Talk Radio, and I was actually inspired to do Debate Talk for You. You know, a light bulb went in my head. I was like, you know, I should do a show called Debate Talk for You Radio. So, you know, hearing this brother right here, you know, his show, he's on the panel, and this is Brother Reggie. I appreciate him being here live tonight. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for the invite, and of course, it's always good to be on the show. And I'm here to discuss whatever needs to be discussed. Obviously, I'm an atheist, and we'll go from there.
All right, man. You want to tell anybody a little bit about yourself, man? Like what you got going on, man? What you've been doing, what you've been up to, and you know, what's up with the show that you have on Blog Talk? Is that still running?
Oh yeah. Well, my name is Reggie, and I run the Haitian. Well, I helped start the Haitian Free Thinkers, which is a group for Haitian secular people, and we have a show on Blog Talk Radio called the Haitian Free Thinkers Show. We're going to be coming up on season, I would say 3, because of scheduling changes really soon. We have a group on Facebook, the Haitian Free Thinkers. Where we have a presence in all the major social networking sites. And basically who I am, what I do, I guess, is just trying to, you know, raise the profile of secular Haitians in our community. Obviously, I would think I'm very knowledgeable when it comes to the religion thing. I pretty much heard all the different, apologetics for it. So I'm here to, I guess, interact with the guests and see what else I can learn tonight.
Yeah, man, it's Reggie right here. This is one of the Debate Talk for You originals right here. Season 1 of Debate Talk for You, man. We appreciate you being here. Back on the show, Brother Reggie. Somebody else is press number 1 right now. Let me see what it says. 813-907. Who am I speaking to?
Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Who am I speaking to?
This is Sister Amunette.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sister Amunette, how you doing?
I'm well. I thought your topic sounded very, very interesting. So I said I must hear and sit and study and listen, and I'm going to just do that while I'm doing my own studies. I'm listening, so I'm here.
Oh, man, Sister Amunette, man, I definitely appreciate you being here live on Debate Talk for You Radio. What I'm going to do is, when we get to the question part, I'll probably put you on the top in case you want to ask any questions, top of the list there. And once again, I appreciate you being here live on Debate Talk for You Radio. Anything you want to put out there, any events coming up, anything happening out there that you're doing that you want to put out there, you can do that now.
We got a few things coming up. Shabazz University is in the works. It's going to be an independent, black-owned institution, academic institution for higher learning, continuing education, and also providing education consultation for homeschooling our children as a people. So look out for that. That's going to be forthcoming toward the end of the year, starting up strong in 2016. So that's where we are. We're also focused on the national blackout. Basically during the so-called holiday seasons, which we know are pagan, which we know have nothing to do with us as a people, but spread the word for those that do partake in all of that to keep their money in their pocket. And let's finance our own businesses. Let's support good shows like Debate Talk for You. Let's contribute to the things that are opening up our minds and liberating our people. So that's where we are right now.
All right, now that's Sister Emunah right there, very powerful sister. That's my sister right there. Appreciate you calling in the Debate Talk Radio. All right, so we're going to get this thing started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up everybody's phone lines right now. I'm just going to ask everyone when you dialoguing, please, try not to interrupt. Let everybody get their, time to speak. But, of course, also do not be long-winded. Give everybody a chance to dialogue and speak to one another. But what I want to do is, like I said, Shelton Henderson, we had a little discussion in the inbox, and I know you have some questions that you want to put out there. What we're going to do is, once you ask your question, we're going to go one by one. Each individual is going to have some time to answer the question, and we're going to go back to you and get your input on what you thought about that, and then we're going to go to the next person. Same way, they'll ask their question, we'll go around the panel, and they'll get the final say-so, and we'll keep going around the table like that. So let's start off with Shelton Henderson, and matter of fact, do you want to put more of what you believe out there before we begin, so people could get a clearer view of your your aspect of on this topic?
Sure. I'm an atheist, non-believer, and I consider myself a humanist. And my background is that I was brought up as a Hebrew Israelite, one of the first generations of men from the late 1800s. His name was Prophet Cherry in Philadelphia, where I'm from. And, all my life up until my early 20s, I believed it, that, black people were the original Hebrew Israelites. Of course, when I came from under my mother and father, started doing my own research, was exposed to other people, other religions. They had their claims and they believed it just as strong as I believed what I was brought up to believe. But I began to question it, and it did not stand up to any scrutiny. So I became a non-believer in my mid to late 20s, and I'm 53 right now. So that's all those years from my mid to late 20s up until this point. I've been just a total non-believer. And when I encounter believers and the questions that I pose to myself that got me to disbelieve, since that time, no one has been able to articulate anything to this anywhere near convincing, other than have faith, open your heart, open your mind, just believe. And, that's not the kind of world that I live in. I need evidence. And I think that the reason I have been engaging people is that, maybe someone will hear it, a young person, a child, that's coming up, just on the fence. Maybe they hear a good argument and they, take questions I have or maybe positions I have and go on with their life with it and question what they were brought up to believe. So that's where I'm at.
All right, let's go to LaRon Campbell. Give people a little more clarity on where you stand as far as, being a theist. Okay.
I started off, as a Hebrew Israelite just as well, non-Messianic. Well, not non-Messianic, but basically one that didn't deal with the New Testament. We still was looking for a Messiah, Moshiach, but for the most part, that's how I started off. And I started reading basically the Isaiah. And I started off reading Isaiah, and I continued, just kept reading, until finally, I realized that the things that were spoken in Isaiah was speaking about the Messiah, who we see in the New Testament, and dealing with Isaiah 53 and some of the other Messianic texts, I was dealing with, and before you know it, I had, started talking with one of the brothers, man, and, he got me off into basically going to church and stuff like that, went to a worded church, where they didn't celebrate certain holidays and Easter and all this other crazy stuff. So eventually once I continued studying, I got stronger and stronger. So I came to the aspect of looking at of a person of being God conscious, and that's very important, because once I became to that aspect, there was a possibility that I knew that I wasn't a Hebrew Israelite, and it did not matter to me whether I was or not. I didn't care. I just wanted to know God's plan overall for man. And as I kept reading the biblical text, I came into that plan and what He desired of a people as a whole. And when you are God conscious, you don't look on your nakedness or what your skin is like before man ate of the fruit of the tree. He wasn't focused on that. But then once he ate of that fruit, he became focused on that. So now it's in his genetics to be racist. It's in his genetics to cover his shame, or to look on other people. So, that's how I came into the spin of things, and I believe that the Bible is the best tool for overall when it comes to man having salvation.
All right, that's LaRon Campbell. Let's go to Sister Emunah, Israel. Let people know where you stand on this particular topic. A little more clarity on it. Go ahead.
All right, hallelujah. My name is Emunah Yisrael. Basically grew up, my parents broke away from traditional religion from Jamaica, so they started to begin to study Rasta culture. As I grew and, always seeking the Most High, I, on my own, went through, I wasn't forced to go to church or anything, but I just wanted to know and to see what people were talking about. In my early 20s is when I fully understand who I am, what is required of me as a Hebrew Israelite. And so from that time until now, that's where I am. And like I said earlier, just taking and understanding that this is an ever-learning journey and an ever-growing journey, and that we don't arrive, and that basically there's one thing to read the text and there's another thing to actually experience your own relationship with the Creator. So that's basically where I am right now, sorting through the things that we know, that we don't know, that has been hidden, and actually trying to live in the midst of all of that. So that's basically where I am, and thank you.
I appreciate that. And Brother Reggie, let people know where you stand before we begin the questions. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. My name is Reggie, and I'm an atheist. I've been an atheist since August of 2009, and my story, my short version of the story is basically I was born in Haiti, raised in a Catholic family, immigrated to the Miami area in the late 80s, started going to Protestant churches with my mother. I've always had questions about religion because, I'm a natural skeptic, I guess. And so, but eventually through visiting churches and hanging out with different people, one pastor convinced me to convert to Christianity on my own. So I did that. And after high school, I joined the military to pay for college, found myself in Iraq. It was at that time that I decided to read the Bible from the beginning, thinking that I was going to die, and I just wanted to find out what was going to happen to me after the fact in heaven. And also, I really felt bad because I thought at the time that I wasn't giving God enough time. So I started reading from Genesis. I got all the way to Isaiah, came back to the U.S. I went to my pastor to ask some questions. I found out that he wasn't as knowledgeable about what Christians call the Old Testament as I thought he could be or should be. And so I just continued reading, doing my research, and that's basically it. I just kept reading, researching, did everything that I was told, prayed, I even got baptized, trying to, do the right thing. I tried to take the religion seriously. I tried to take the Great Commission in particular seriously, but I knew too much, kept researching, and eventually I started to stumble more upon, atheist material, and I found out that they knew what I knew, and they had all the best responses, all the best answers. I also credit taking philosophy and debate in my time in college for learning to think critically. And so with all these things combined, in August of 2009, I had to be honest with myself in that I couldn't honestly say to myself or to God at the time or to anybody else that I honestly believed. So I understood that I was an atheist, and I still interact with believers, and I eventually started a group for Haitians after the 2010 earthquake because Pat Robertson said what he said, and I knew that a lot of Haitians actually believed in the stuff that he believed in. So I felt that this starting the group would be a great way for me to contribute to Haitian society so that we can let go superstition and move toward reality. So that's the deal.
All right, so now we have a lot more clarity on where everybody stand. We could definitely begin with the questions. And once again, guys, the number is 646-716-7320. If you have any questions or comments, just press number 1, and we can add to the conversation later on. We'd like to hear from the people out there. Get your questions, your comments, and just ask that you keep it clean, keep it professional. And by the way, we actually set up a debate between my brother Reggie and brother Shelton Brugengate. He's been here before debating, so we're going to actually try to make that happen maybe in December or hopefully December, but if not, January of 2016. So we got some great things coming up on Debate Talk Radio. But let's start off with Shelton Henderson. You can throw out a question there for the panel. Go ahead.
Well, my question to a believer would be, what evidence can you provide to someone who does not believe as you do? Someone who does not, take, your personal experience as evidence, but someone that does not believe will come up to you and ask you, look, what evidence can you give me? Say, for instance, regarding the question of, if the big question is always, does God exist? So what evidence can you provide to or articulate to someone that's a non-believer to validate your belief? What would you say? And I'm not talking about, when normally it comes in, well, you have to have faith, which is, to me as a skeptic, without evidence. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about a personal experience. I'm talking about, evidence, like what tangible or demonstrable evidence can you present to a non-believing person to, for lack of a better word, convince them that what you believe is true.
Let's start off with Sister Emunah. This is her first time here, so you can begin. You want to answer that question? Go ahead.
Wow, that's an interesting question. Just based on what I heard, there was the framework for which the question is that you have to discount your personal experience, and then you have to give tangible evidence, which is kind of, for me, is limiting. Because there's two things for me. It's belief and knowledge and knowing, which is two different things. And so if the individual was to come up to me and they're actually expressing through words, which is spiritual, you understand, and using the air, which we cannot see but exists, and they have the wherewithal to communicate this thought to me, that in itself is evidence in that moment that the Creator exists. There is something bigger than all of us that is allowing this conversation, even now, to happen. So for me, when we try to put the Creator in a box and then say that we have to have these physical manifestations, when in reality, if we open our eyes, they're all around us. I, for one, understand that Torah is universal. So therefore, there's some people who just try to pigeonhole Torah just to the book. But if we look and begin to train our eyes and our minds to understand that Torah is all around, meaning universal principles that govern the universe, that would be my answer to the individual. If you want tangible evidence, just open your eyes and just begin to, one by one, look at all the things that you yourself, and I would put it back onto the non-believer. If you don't believe or don't understand that the Most High exists, then please explain all of the, quote, natural phenomenon that you see going on around you.
All right, Shelton Henderson, hold that thought. We got to go around the round table. Let's go to LaRon Campbell. LaRon?
You can read my mind.
Yeah, go ahead, LaRon. You can respond, LaRon. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the greatest evidence that we have is the conscience of man. That is CONSCIENCE, the conscience of man. That is one of the greatest evidence that we have, which is a faculty in man that causes the inner man to have a God in him of what is right and what is wrong to his behavior, right? So when we deal with that, we deal with the conscience and we deal with consciousness or conscious. Conscience is one who is aware. He becomes aware to his conscience or his inner man, his inner feeling. So therefore, that inner man, which is a faculty or a makeup in man, has not been able to be explained, not even by scientists, of what causes this man to feel a certain way when he commits a wrongdoing or other thing that he does in his life. I believe that the soul is the seat of your emotions, appetites, feelings, passions, those are the things that help you to govern yourself while you're in this physical body. But one of the things I look at is the conscience itself has laws, and I think that it has origin just as well. So therefore, if I have parents and they have parents and they have parents, they have parents, they have parents, it goes back to the origin. So somewhere where the origin that lies where these laws came from of what is right and what is wrong. So therefore, in the beginning, when God said, let us make men in our image and our likeness, those are the things that we are in the image and likeness of. When he said man has become as gods to know good and evil, that is the conscience of man that he's talking about. That is an aspect of God that we have become when we took of the fruit of the tree. So therefore, the conscience is very important, and therefore we cannot escape the conscience. We can have the knowledge and the science of everything that's on this earth. When we get done, if you don't know how to govern yourself between what is right and wrong, we're going to be put in the situation that we're in now. People have the science and the knowledge and still oppressing us and doing wrong and not doing that which is good, which they know to do.
All right, and we'll let Shelton Henderson get a chance to respond to that. I know you probably have a lot of things you want to, put out there, but after that, we're going to go to the next person, a theist, to ask a question to you guys, the non-believers. But go ahead, Shelton. Respond.
Well, two things I wanted to respond to both of them. To the sister, greetings. I would respond to you. You say to look around and you can. It's basically self-evident. We have scientific explanations of just about every phenomenon in our environment. We have a way to know that we know that there's air. We know that there's water. We know that there's space. We know that there's time. We have explanations for those things that do not require a creator. We have explanations for natural phenomena. So if things are that self-evident, then we would not be having this discussion, because if I presented to you, we don't debate whether there's air or not. We know that there's air because we breathe. There's no debate about it. It's self-evident. So that kind of doesn't answer my question, and it's just basically I call it a childish question from my behalf, because it's just something that a child would ask, like, what do just to give me, if it's there, why are we discussing it? If this creator is there, and so that's that. Like I said, I've heard that kind of answer, like just look around, but you can just look around. At this point in time, you can just, hello, I'm sorry, I don't know if you can hear me.
You're good, you're loud and clear, we got you.
Okay, yeah, I had a call coming in. Okay, just if things are self-evident, then there's no need to debate about them. We already know about that. But as far as a creator, we are discussing whether a large percentage of people do not believe, they don't have the evidence. So it's evidently not self-evident, or we wouldn't debate it. So that's how I would respond to that. To LaRon, I mean, we've gotten into many discussions before, but when you speak that way as an answer, it sounds very much as an opinion. It's you have your opinion, you have your, when you say things like conscious, like humans are the only beings that have conscious. What about all the other species on this earth? Why is man so important? What is this thing about a soul? I mean, what proof do you have that this exists? And the one thing I wanted to pinpoint from my question was when you said when God created this, you have to, it goes back even further than that. You have to explain what God is. You just can't start, because, in my opinion, you start with a book and you say, well, God created this. Well, explain this God. It starts further back then. What is this God made of? What is, where did he come from? Or when you said making in their own image, then that means there's more than one of these. these gods. So, and why should a person believe that? What proof, what do you stand on? You're starting with a book, and I know that you have one of the few people you do acknowledge that these books were written by copyists. If you don't know who the copyist is, then and they're talking about a God, and then you're going from there, then your jump is like, why should a person start there just believing that and saying, okay, yeah, well, that's true, and now let me build everything on that foundation. So that's how I would respond to both of the believers.
All right, so what I'm going to do after I, go to everybody one by one, we're going to definitely open up the panel where everybody can just, have a discussion and talk to each other later on. You guys can, jump in where you fit in. But let's go to LaRon. Any questions you have for the non-believers? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you explain to me organic evolution? Because you talked about origin, but I want to know what does the scientists or what does the philosophers say about the origin of all things, of the origin of organic species or organic beings?
Let's go to Brother Reggie. Brother Reggie, you can go ahead.
You want me to answer Brother LaRon's question about the origins of, I guess, life?
If you could, yeah.
Okay. The origins of life. Well, the current experiment that I know that is going on to find out how life started on Earth, I think it's called the Uri Geller experiment. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I've been following as far as how they're trying to reproduce the way that the early Earth was in order to potentially recreate the situation that caused life. Once we find out how that happened, then we pretty much know through the mechanism of natural selection how life evolved and branched out into different types of life, if you will. So it's two things in one. So I personally am not the qualified person to answer that question. As far as I know, we're still working on it as a people. But I would encourage anybody who wants to know, you can always Google stuff. There's stuff on YouTube if you want to know. There's plenty of information out there. And I have I have links and information I can pass on to the brother. So if he wants to contact me, like for example, I know Talk Origin is a really great site that you can go to, and you can find a lot of information about maybe origins of life. But I know they talk a lot about evolution and explain it to people in a way that makes a lot of sense. So I don't think we know exactly how life started yet. If hopefully that answers this question.
All right, Shelton.
Yeah, well, it's like the brother said. If you're saying two different things, if you ask that question, if you're saying organic evolution or the beginning that field of study is abiogenesis, the beginning of life, which is, as the brother said, is unknown at this time. They're working on finding out how that actually occurred. Scientists are working on that. When you put evolution is the adaptation of species. That's something that's a totally different field of study. So, if you ask that question, it's actually two branches of science that scientists are working on. Not working. Well, the evolution is science. Is there's no question about evolutionary biology. So if you want to know about abiogenesis, I'm not a scientist, but I know that the field is under study right now. They're studying it as we speak, and there's people working on it at this point in time. But and it's okay to not know, because there's a lot of things we didn't know. At one time, we didn't know what thunder meant. We thought that it was the gods doing something in the sky, but we know why it thunders now. So, and I'm comfortable at saying I don't know, at this point in time as far as abiogenesis, but there's just a treasure trove of information and scientific papers and journals and medicine based on the science of evolutionary biology.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So there are things that we do not know. There are things that we do know, like Brother Shelton eloquently put. But I can say with almost 100% certainty that we do know that human beings did not come from mud or dust, as described in Genesis. We do know that women are not made out of ribs. We also know that human females did not give birth to babies without the aid of sperm. So there are things that we don't know, that there are things that we do know. So as a unbeliever or non-believer, an atheist, whatever, there's certain claims that are made that you can test to verify whether or not they're true. And like Shelton said, it's okay for us not to know. The difference, I think, between us and people who are believers is that we don't appeal to supernatural answers, especially because a lot of times you can't test it. So if I were to say that, for example, human beings came from dust, I think anybody should be rightly there to say, okay, well, can you prove that? And if I can't, or if I'm pointing to a book or an invisible creature that supposedly did this, then I think they would be right to ask me for evidence and to basically recreate that. So whoever is able to solve the puzzle of how life came on Earth, if someone, let's say a believer, were to say, well, show me the evidence, I think they will be right to reproduce what it is that they found so that they can demonstrate where they're getting their answers from. So I hope that adds some more clarity to at least my position.
All right, we're going to go to LaRon with his reply, but once again, it's the Roundtable episode 21, non-believers versus theists, having a very professional dialogue right about now. And again, we're going to go to the people out there later on. The number is 646-716-7320. As a matter of fact, I see people pressing number 1 already. We're going to get to you guys later on to stand by. We'd love to hear from the people out there, hear what you guys got to say. But let's go to LaRon. Go ahead, LaRon.
Yeah, I'm just shocked to hear these brothers, man, sit in here, man, and say they don't really know what's going on. When the mainly the consensus on of the origin of life, when you ask an atheist what's going on, they talk about stellar and planetary evolution, and that's very important because it talks about cosmic evolution of how it begins, of the origin of life, and how the Big Bang Theory took place, right? The Big Bang Theory took place, and somehow, some way, we come to the earth. The earth is formed. Once the earth is formed, it's hot and molten. Then it solidifies and cools, and then it's rained on for torrential rains. It's rained on for thousands of years, and then somehow, some way, from this soupy premortal soup, that man rise about, and he comes and he doesn't rise about yet. Matter of fact, he comes from some type of species of bacteria or some type of tadpole or whatever they say. Then millions of years down the line, then he goes through these different stages of processes, and while he goes through these different stages of processes, he goes from a fish to basically a land, into the land. So all of these things that they use is basically kindergarten. So what they have to have is what you call millions of years for you to believe this mess. In other words, you will have to believe that millions of years that I came from a ape, and then I came, and then from a chimpanzee, and then I came to the form of man where I'm at now. This is what they teach us. This is what they teach in our textbooks. So when these brothers come and they say these answers like they say, I think we have more swearing our way than those swearing their way. I can see the Bible saying that man was made in the image and likeness of God by an intelligent designer, because guess what? He's an ancestor. So I can see that we're being made in his image and his likeness because he's our ancestor. But when you deal with these brothers telling me that I went through these stages before I came into man, that's crazy. I was a land fish. I was a fish, and I became another type of species. So, brothers and sisters, ask yourself this question: when you look at your granddaddy or your grandmother or your grandparents, is it a fish? These what these brothers want us to believe in.
All It's getting hot up in here. And like I said, we're going to open up the panel where everybody can just dialogue with each other later on. I just want everybody to ask their individual questions and get some answers for now. But again, we're also going to open up the phone lines for the people out there that's listening to the show. Let's go to Sister Emunah, Israel. You have any questions for the panel?
Yes, definitely. I have questions. For the brothers, I hear emphasis. I like to listen. So I hear emphasis on knowledge. We don't know. We do know. We haven't found out yet. In the mind of an atheist, do you believe that a creator does not exist, or do you know that a creator does not exist? Because those are two different thought processes there, whether you believe it, because based from what you were saying, based on the answers to the question, there's a lot of unknown. You understand? And so how do you arrive at the point now that in all of this ambiguity or all of this darkness of the unknown, you're going to arrive to, I'm just going to discount the creator, even though on the other side, I don't know. So my question is it, do you believe or do you know, and how do you arrive at not knowing when there's so much unknown? I hope I didn't confuse you.
Let's go to Shelton. You can respond.
Well, my response to that would be it is that there is not enough or no evidence to believe that there is a creator. That's how I would answer that question. So until, and that's the definition of an atheist, that's the definition of a person who disbelieves or lacks belief in the existence of gods or goddesses, because there's no evidence for it. You know, if there was evidence for it, we wouldn't have a debate, because it would be self-evident. You know, so that's how I would respond to that. So, do we know? I don't believe, from my point of view, that I know that it's not, because I don't have all knowledge. I'm not all-knowing. So you can't have a position of absolute, I know that it does it, but I do not have enough evidence. And there is a lack of evidence of a creator. And we have explanations, again, for all the natural phenomena around us. And as time goes on, we learn more and more and more. And people become less and less and less suspicious, because we have answers for things that we don't know. And there's some saying there that God is shrinking. He's shrinking in more and more into a corner, because there's more and more explanation for the phenomenon that we have in our environment. So that's how I would answer that.
All right, let's go to Brother Reggie.
All right, before I answer her question, I just want to restate it so I can make sure I understand what she's asking. Is your question, do I believe or do I know if there is a creator?
Correct. The question is in the mind of the atheist, or in your mind, the point that you've arrived to, are you declaring that you believe that there is no creator, or that you know that there is no creator?
Well, I answer it like this. I would say that I know that there is no creator, as described by the people who believe in a different creator or gods that I'm familiar with. You guys, I think, are familiar with the biblical God, Yahweh. I think that's the only God that's under discussion right now. So I would take a little bit more stronger perspective and say that I know that that creature does not exist, based on what we know, what we can prove or disprove, history and all that. As far as what I believe, as far as if there's something out there in the universe that could have created, I guess, the universal reality, and if it's like anything like the gods that we were told, I do not know. I would say that there's probably nothing like what we describe as creators or gods or deities. I think what people do is that whatever answer that we find, we apply anthropomorphic qualities to it, so that we can say, okay, for example, that it's a he or it's a she, or it can do this. That's what how I would describe it, because humans forever, if there's a phenomenon that they don't understand, they tend to make stuff up, and they refine the stuff that they make up, and they pass that along to their children. And what we skeptics do is that we kind of change the story a little bit, because when we find that what they're saying is inconsistent or not true, then they kind of have to refine their techniques or whatever. So whatever we find as the ultimate cause of whatever, some people might call it God, because like there's different interpretations of what a God is or a creator is. But I can say that I know that the creator that's known in the Bibles is not true, because there's evidence against it. So I hope that answers your question.
All right, Emunah, you can reply to that.
Yeah, based on what I received, Brother Sheldon is saying that he can't say definitively that he knows, but he believes. And Brother Reggie is saying that he can, as it relates to the Bible, he knows that the Creator doesn't exist. So just for clarity and for those who are listening, I just like to get everyone straight. So yes, that answered the question for now.
Speak to each other, one another. So let's go to Brother Reggie. Reggie, you can put out your question.
Questions? Well, I want to make a correction first. I'm sitting in front of my laptop. The experiment I'm talking about the origins of life is called the Miller-Urey experiment. You can just Google it and you can find some more information on that if you're interested. Questions that I would have. Well, basically, my question is, how would you two believers go about finding answers to any questions that you have regarding, I don't know, anything? Let's say if you want to find out about another person's religion, how do you go about finding answers to those questions? That's basically my question.
All right, let's go back to Emunah, Israel. Go ahead.
So come again, he wants to know, how do we go about getting understanding or getting knowledge? I wanted just clarity on what the question was. What's the process?
Okay.
Is
Yeah, like if let's say you want to learn about the Sikh religion or the Jainism, right? You want to learn about Jainism. How would you go about finding out about Jainism, for example?
I mean, for me personally, to answer that question, it's like, how do I go about finding out information? For me, my information and my desire to understand things goes through a filter, and the filter is based on what I understand my purpose in life for. So I say that to say, a lot of us go to try to understand things that doesn't even pertain to our journey. So, for instance, I'm not really versed on what Jainism is, but as I stand today, understanding why did I manifest in this earth, why am I here, and like the brother said earlier about learning the things that we need to do to interact with one another. So because my meditation is there, answering honestly, I wouldn't go so far as to just want to know just to know. Because now knowledge abounds. There's no end to learning, as I heard someone say on the line earlier. So my learning, it's not necessarily in a box, but I inquire of things with purpose. I don't know if that answered your question. So, I'm not just ridiculously curious so that I'm everywhere and then I'm nowhere. And so I hope that didn't confuse you, but that's how I would answer that question. That hasn't come to my mind of anything that I'm missing at this point in my life. It's just more clarity of, and I heard somebody said earlier, and I will ask that later about the soul, but it's really from the perspective of which I'm looking to gain this knowledge, and I would go about it systematically. If I did have something of interest that I wanted to know about, then I would begin to look in the history of the thing. I would begin to meditate on what it's about, because I am connected with the Creator. And so the guidance of where I need to be and what information I need and what people I need to speak to, those things begin to align when I align myself with whatever it is that I desire. So that's my answer to that question.
Let's go to LaRon. Okay, LaRon.
Can y'all hear me?
Loud and clear.
Can y'all hear me? All right, yeah. Basically, I have number one is I have to examine myself, You know, and once I examine myself, I have certain things I have asked myself in life, and I'm pretty sure everybody on the panel has, and everybody listening in have just as well. You know, who are you? That's the first thing. You know, where do you come from? Also, why are you here, and where are you going after you die? I think that's basically questions that every one of us have asked ourselves from the ancient times and to now. We see that the ancients prepared for us, the Sumerians, and then we look at also the Phoenician cultures, the Egyptians. They looked at basically at the afterlife, and they dealt with what you call sacrificing to gods or to their netas, as well as creating blood agreements with them, as well as when you deal with who they divine to. So when when I look to myself and I ask myself these questions, the first thing that came to me was, and what I base my premise off of before anything, is the Bible. The Bible, it lists a lot of historical events that took place. It lists is basically dealing with the origin of man and the character of man and what's in man and how we should relate or deal with one another. And when I look and study the Sumerians or some of the people, the first people to come upon this earth as a civilization, you know, I looked at their customs and their culture, what they was dealing with, their burials, sacrificing. These are the different things I look at. And then what I do is I take this historical observation of the things that they have written down, which is historical data that we can use, and I base that data off of my conclusion on did these things exist or not. And one thing I must say is this: on taking their evidence and looking at why they did certain things, and how was they able to map the stars out, or to know when to sow, or when to plant, or know to do agriculture, or hunting, or dealing with tools, and these different things that they did in the ancient times. This is what causes me to look at how I view this Bible. When they talk about Nimrod, the mighty hunter, and I see this religious motif almost in every culture, to where you see this mighty hunter grasping lions or grasping snakes, and he's in Asiatic wear, or he's in Semitic wear attire. So this is how I base how I view and how I'm able to look at these other cultures and basically take all of these things and sum it up and look at what this biblical text is saying. And once again, like I say, I believe that this Bible is the best tool. The brothers on this panel, they both have displayed that they don't know the origin. So if you don't know the origin, how are you going to say the origin is not dealing with the Bible if you can't even tell us what the origin is? We have ologists behind everything. We're trying to study ourselves and study everything within the physical realm. But when you break down the physical realm, everything that you cannot see with the physical, with the natural eye, is what we call unseen, which is an unseen material, something that we can't see with the eye. And it's very evident that it is there. And because it is there, this is what we call the spiritual world. And this is what when we start dealing with intelligent designer, a master designer, one that passed down knowledge that the ancients observed. And once they observed it, they passed it down traditionally. Some of them perverted it, but we believe when it came to Moses, Moses kept the charge, coming from Abraham, coming from Noah to Abraham to Moses, and to the people that's in this land today, and to the people overall around the earth.
Let's go to Brother Reggie, and I see the phone lines is hot right now. We're going to go to people real soon. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. All you got to do is, if you want to chime in, just press number 1. We can add you. When I see people pressing number 1 already, stand by. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a few questions before we go back to the special guests once we go to Reggie. Reggie, you can reply. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to try my best to repeat what I heard as the answers to my question. The sister said that she has a filter that she used to go about to see if the finding out about Jainism is good for her. and I want to apologize if I'm misrepresenting your position because it's been a few minutes since you spoke. I'm trying to take notes as we speak so I can represent you accurately. But that's essentially what I heard from her. And if I correctly understood Mr. LaRon, I guess he's saying that, we as atheists, we don't know everything, and we should use the Bible as a guide because it has some historical things worth looking at about Nimrod, and it kind of gives a glimpse of other cultures and how they did certain things and rituals and things like that. So that's what I understood in my own words of what I heard. Myself, how I would answer that question is I simply go online. I look up some stuff. Usually Wikipedia is a source that I use. I understand that not everybody trusts Wikipedia, but what I do is that I try to get different sources so I can get more information, and I try to find a Jain person, and I talk to them. Usually a lot of religions have holy books. I try to get my hands on that holy book, and I read it for myself. So that's how I do go about my research. So that's how I would answer that question for myself. And I try to apply that to everything. I'm very interested in the Black Hebrew Israelites. Like, I know I'm supposed to be talking to Sally Tim Bruggencate soon, supposedly. So what I do is I try to, research, and there's a lot of information out there, and that way I can get a lot of information and sound a little bit intelligent if I speak to a person from that group, because I don't want to misrepresent their position or how they think. So that's how I would go about learning about Jainism, because I understand that there's a lot of people with a lot of different religions and a lot of different perspectives from their own personal experience. So that's how I would go about finding out about them.
All right, guys. Once again, it's the Roundtable, episode 21. We have a lot more show, guys, so, stay tuned. We actually have like 48 minutes on the air, plus we have an overtime part of the show as well. So we're going to try to get as much questions as possible, and we're going to hear some more from the special guests. But I want to go to the phone lines because we got a lot of people standing by. I'm going to take a few questions for now, and after that we're going to go back to the special guests and have them dialogue with each other and put some more things out there. But let's go to Let's go to Sister Aminette, as promised, and see if she have any questions or comments that she want to put out there. Your phone line is open.
Yes. Shalom, peace, blessings, all that wonderful, wonderful stuff. I'm listening, and I was, focused on the topic and all the wonderful, beautiful things that people had to say. And, I understand both perspectives. I've tried to think in terms of both perspectives for a long time and really looked at both angles, between... I've never been an atheist. I will never be an atheist. I've been on the Gnostic side, and Gnostic simply means to know. And I'd rather call myself Gnostic. Then you have agnostic, and then you have atheist. Atheist simply just means without theos, when we break down the word theos. So without theos, the Greek and the Latin breakdown, deus, of God, or the theory. Even when you break down the word theos, theory, theorem, a theory, something that has yet to be confirmed as factual. And then when you have the believer, because I'm thinking about the title of your show, why believe? Because after you develop a relationship, a real relationship with your Creator, and that has been established, you go from belief to knowing, because you're in an intimate relationship with the Spirit of the Most High God. You are in so much intimacy that you no longer believe and you're no longer skeptical because of personal experience. That's why people say your relationship with your Creator is a personal one, okay? Because you can document the times and it becomes factual to you. But somebody on the outside looking in who has not had your experience would either be skeptical, a non-believer, or they would have to believe you and take your word for it. And belief is something that has yet to be founded as fact. But you become a knower after you have a relationship, a long-standing relationship, and experience with the Creator of creation.
Then you go from you graduate from believer to knower. And then nobody can tell you anything, sway you from it, because you've had personal experiences. You've experienced what we call miracles. Other people laugh at that and say there's no such thing. It's just coincidence. It's just happenings. But if you're in the spiritual race long enough, you know that still does very much happen. And it is a reality. The power of, number one, the power of the spirit is powerful. The power of the mind working with that is also powerful. I'm not into fairy tales or things that cannot be proven. I consider myself to be an intellectual. So I think about things critically and I analyze, but at the same time, I'm balanced in that, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, being open to spirituality, being open to my spirit, being open to the miraculous, being open to the metaphysical side of things. There is a physical plane. Those things are tangible. Those things are concrete. And those things are left brain when we're dealing with the things that are on the physical plane, and you are a third density being, if you want to put it that way. You're just based on the physical plane. You have no other experiences outside of this physical dimension because you can't go there. Everybody's at different levels. Everybody's at different spaces and places, and they're supposed to be there. That's where if you're not a believer, if you consider yourself an atheist, cool. That's where you are, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. That's where you are. Religious people want to convert people and change folk over and make them be something that they're not ready to be. If that's not your experience, that's not brother's experience who's atheist, without theos, he wants the facts, he wants the science, he wants to know science, ciencia, to know the study of, he wants to be a scientist, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I've come to a place of balance in my life where, yes, I want to know, but I'm still open to the metaphysical side of myself that I've experienced and I cannot deny because of personal experience. And that's all that I wanted to say. So I understand both sides of the fence. I think the topic tonight is fascinating. I love hearing the powerful sister that has spoken as well. I love all the aspects and all the flavors represented here tonight, and I thank you guys for bringing this to the forefront. I thank you for your contributions. I think we need to hear and embrace all sides and find a happy medium and a space to put it all together so that we can all grow and exchange in a beautiful manner like this one tonight. And that's all I have to say.
I most definitely appreciate that, Sister Emunah. Let's go to the panel, though. Let's go to Reggie. Anything you want to say to that? Go ahead.
The only thing that I want to say to that is thank you for your comment. And her definition of atheist is different from mine and what I understand an atheist to be. A theist is one that believes. The A negates the word theist, so I am one who does not believe. And that's pretty much it. I think one of the things that makes these conversations a little bit difficult is that we don't think the same way. We don't process information the same way. And I think for me, 1 2-hour show may not be enough to explain how I became an atheist and the way that my mind works, the way my mind processes information. And so when we come to these meetings, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to explain, how at least myself, I think about, spiritual things or whatnot. The long story short is that I'm just a person that loves to learn. I enjoy learning about people's minds, and I just found out that a lot of the information that I was taught was not true. The Bible was supposed to be the Word of God and everything, and people took it very seriously. But when you do the research, you find out that it's not what they say that it is. And the only difference between me and I think some other people is that I was honest with myself. I'm like, I can't be out there, proselytizing, and I know this thing ain't true. You feel me? So for some people, it's very difficult, and I enjoy still talking to believers because there's such a variety, and I learn some new things every now and again, and so I was glad that she was able to call in and say her piece.
All right, Sister Emunah, anything you want to say to anything that was said? Okay.
Definitely. Thank you to the sister who called in. Like she said, it's a very interesting conversation. It's a good exchange. And I would have to agree that we are all on this journey at different levels. of development, of different levels of growth, of different levels of understanding with different desires. So sometimes we can, I know earlier the brother, I believe it was Shelton, said, what would you tell to convince someone? And I agree with the sister, there's no convincing from where I am. There's only sharing, because the impartation of understanding only comes from the divine, in my understanding. And so this is why we can crash with understandings all the time and people arguing, because we're trying to force understanding. And understanding is something that after you've planted the seed and you walk away and it springs up, and a few months later, years later, then you turn back and say, wow, now I get it. You see, it's not something that could be forced open. And so I agree that the exchange is also about the desire. If you don't want to understand, then chances are you won't. So when it is that we're having this discussion, I pray that it's genuine, that when we ask questions, it's not necessary to disprove or to prove. It's to really want to get an understanding about whatever it is that you're asking about. And I just wanted to say one more thing in relation to all of the testing and the knowledge. And as the brother said earlier, there's the spiritual, the unseen, and then there's the physical. Spiritual precedes the physical. And you use the physical to try to gauge the spiritual, but it can never gauge it in the fullness of what it is. So it is like we're trying to contain spirituality in the measurements or the tools of man. You understand what I'm saying? So that's kind of backwards. That's the same way we're trying to understand the Creator. And like I said, from where I'm coming from, the Bible is giving us an understanding. And different nations and nationalities have the pieces. But the Torah, which I use as a filter, gives us an understanding of what to touch and what not to touch. Because knowledge is everywhere, just like fruit is everywhere. But not every fruit is good for you to eat. You understand? So I'm not just going to go around starting eating berries everywhere, and next thing you know, you drop dead from poison. So this is where wisdom comes in. So these things, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, have to work in tandem if we're really trying to elevate in our consciousness and understanding. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to share that portion.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's go to Shelton Henderson. Anything you want to say to the comments made?
Yes, I want to thank this sister for the comments, and my reaction to that is I would like to respectfully just say that my reaction, nothing personal, but it was as far as a part of taking the step from faith to knowing. That is just totally illogical to me with the way that you present it. If you have faith, which is belief without evidence, and then after that point, a very fallacious line of thinking. So that just really threw me for kind of a loop. And then to bring critical thinking into it is just that part of the conversation. My response to it is just I could not find a logical path with that. If you could be a critical thinker, yet you can start off with faith and go to a situation of knowing, whereas and having the awareness that someone outside could look at what you are doing and not understand or think it's kind of crazy or whatever if you explain miracles to them. This is how that kind of interaction with me was one of the first things that just kicked on my skeptical light. The flag went up because it just, that line of thinking does not, I can't process that. Like I said, my brain cannot process that kind of line of thinking. That would be my response to that. I'm responding to that. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Just as a person receiving that information, that thing that's stuck out to me more than anything of what she said, because faith is something without evidence. If you start there, you can't go to a position of knowing if you have it, knowing for sure, unless you are convincing yourself. If you convince yourself that you know based on, just believing, which is what that's what you have to believe in God, because you cannot see Him; He's invisible, or whatever the name that you call Him. No one has proof. They can't present tangible proof. They can't show you, see, that's God right there. So you have to believe based on no evidence. and then you build from there. So you can't know anything because you started off with just saying, okay, well, I believe it. Now I'll fill in the blanks and everything after that I know based on this foundation that is not supported with evidence. Respond to that to the sisters to what she said. Now, like I said, I don't need to be disrespectful or anything like that. So it's nothing personal, me attacking anything. It's just my response to what she said.
Can I say something? This is Emunah. Can I say something real quick? Okay. I have a question for the brother who just speak, Brother Sheldon.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know? Because and I just want to do clarification. Sometimes we get lost in translation in words. If we look at faith, which is my name by birth and in Hebrew, if we look at, we have to really kind of, like the other brother was saying, Brother Reggie, we have to kind of define things that we're going to have conversation about. Because when you look into Hebrew, faith is not knowing. Faith actually deals with being firm. And when you look at the origins of the word, it's not up in the air and, maybe coulda, woulda, shoulda been. You understand what I'm saying? So if we can just have a agreement on what a word is, because otherwise then everyone is going to have their thought process on what that word is, and then we're going to be missing each other in conversation sometimes. But I just want to ask the question also, how do you know, and it may sound simple, but how do you know when the wind blows?
There's a physical reaction to it. I can feel it physically blowing and hear it.
So something unseen is only manifested when it comes in contact with physical third dimension reality.
I mean, with the faculties that I have, which is my senses, that's how I experience my physical senses. That's how I interact with my environment.
Okay, can I take a stab at that one?
Okay, you could go ahead, King. I was going to continue, but yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you can go ahead. I just wanted to. I'll take it from both of you guys. How do you know? And I like that response that he had. So yes, you can go ahead, Brother Reggie.
I remember a Muslim friend of mine who basically tried to convert me was telling me about something similar about, but his question was about thoughts. So the question was that you asked was, how do I know if the wind blows? Before I answer the question, I would like to ask you a question. Are you asking because you do not know, or you just want to hear how we think?
I want to understand how you think, because, and
okay.
I'll just go straight to it. Yeah, well, go ahead.
All right. So we know how the wind blows because you can feel it. Like he said, you can see the effects of it. Like right now it's fall, so there's leaves outside. So when the wind blows, you can see something pushing the leaves. And air is not necessarily invisible. It's invisible to the naked eye. We know the components of air, oxygen and whatnot. We've studied the table of elements. So yes, it's invisible. In that respect, also you can do things like create smoke, so that you can give the air a quality in which you can see the movements of it. So that's the technical definition of how you can tell the wind is moving.
Okay. So I'll just make it short then. So both of you kind of had similar answers, that spirituality is manifested for us in this dimension when it comes in contact with something physical. So as we're talking about whether the Creator exists, for us to really understand the Creator as we are in this form, it's the same principle. When it comes in contact, when the creative force comes, it manifests itself in physical reality. So even though we cannot see the wind until it is either you blow and it's too cold outside so you see your breath, or you see it on a leaf, or you see it on a tree, you see it on the water, it's the same principle. How do you acknowledge that the wind exists but not acknowledge that the Creator exists when the same manifestation is happening as happens with the wind? You understand? Meaning that, go ahead.
I don't think it's the same thing. It's not the same thing because you say the Creator, then you have to prove that Creator actually. What test do you have other than what test do you have to expose so that that this creator, like the brother said, like Reggie said, we know we can say, like, you have smoke, you have wind tunnels, you have proof that the wind exists, but you're filling in something really, really big. You're filling in the creator of the universe, the creator of everything we know, and you're equating it to wind, and that it's not the same. It's not a it's a false equivalence. It's not like this one phenomenon, and then you're putting in this gigantic phenomenon, this creator who we don't know anything about. We don't know the name. We don't know where he is. We don't know anything like that. We only say these things, we make up these things in our mind, and then we give these attributes to them. But we have no proof that this spirit, which we don't even know what it is, or what spirituality is, which is an opinion, basically, because you won't get two people to say exactly the same what spirituality is. So that's taking a really big leap. That would be my response.
What I'm saying is it's an analogy, because the proof is you. The proof is that you were just able to articulate that with this spiritual energy of what is wind that you cannot gauge unless it is felt in this physical reality. So I'm not equating the fullness of the creator to wind, but to understand, and this is how we relate here, we have to put it towards something that we can understand. This is why a lot of people say in their mind that the creator doesn't exist, because they don't know how to relate, you understand, to such a grand concept. And so this is why I broke it down to the wind, and for you to acknowledge that wind exists, even though the only way you know is when it reacts on you. And so basically you may think that I was going left field with it, and that's understandable, but you are the proof that the creator exists. The fact that you woke up and you're able to have this conversation, even though there may be a level of denial, that doesn't necessarily mean that the creator doesn't exist. It may mean that at this particular point, you may not understand it. And as you said before, we don't understand a whole lot of things, but that doesn't mean that it is not so. You understand? So it's a great conversation, but I'll release the mic.
Yeah, let me let LaRon jump in real quick, and after that, we got some more callers standing by, so I want to get to the callers. LaRon, yeah, you can jump in real quick.
Can y'all hear me?
Go ahead.
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Yeah. I think that the sister brought out a great point. I just want to say to the other sister, too, appreciate you, your comment. Brought some excellent. I think that definitely.
Hey, you're breaking up a little bit, LaRon. You're kind of breaking up a little bit. Let me get that radio check, brother.
I think that's a spirit right there.
Yeah, LaRon. It's called drop, actually. It's called drop. All right, call back, brother. Call back and we get chance. You crazy. You said blame it on the spirit? All right, man, let's go. Let's go to the next call. Yeah, let's go to the next caller real quick. Once again, the number is 646-716-7320. LaRon, why don't you call back in, or I'll bring you back in the conversation. Let's go to 832-322. You're live on air. 832-322. You're live on Debate Talk Radio. 832. Can you hear me? Going once. Going twice.
Not meant to be, so Beelzebub in the house.
322. Are you there? All right, we got to move on to the next person. Let's go to 504-493. You're live on air.
Hey, can you hear me, Brother Sal?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good, brother.
All right. I want to say greetings to the panelists, atheists, and the believers. Look, I had a question I want to ask the atheists. It's sort of an enduring question. It's really easy. I want to ask them, are you leaning more to the James Darwin theory versus the Bible?
You talking about Charles Darwin?
Yeah, James. Are you more leaning towards the James Darwin theory versus the Bible?
Who's James Darwin? You talking about Charles Darwin?
Of evolution. Of evolution.
Yeah. Charles Darwin theory of evolution.
Okay. So you're leaning more towards evolution.
No. I'm responding. I just got clarification that you were talking. Well, two things with that. And this is kind of part of what I want to respond to LaRon with. When people say atheist, when someone says they're atheist, it does not bring in Charles Darwin.
Well, I'm not debating you now. I just was asking, like, is that what you're leaning more towards that theory?
Well, I'm trying to respond to you. I just want to get clarification. A person who's an atheist has nothing to do with evolution.
Okay.
It's just atheism, lack of belief in gods or goddesses. That's the definition that's online. Okay. Now, Charles Darwin, way back, it has nothing to do with really basically the theory of evolution today, which is a branch of science. So it's not as far as comparing it, leaning towards the Bible. To me, the Bible is a book where people wrote. No one knows who wrote it. That's a fact. They don't know. The only way they know who wrote it is because what the people inside of it said, not outside. There's no outside verification of who wrote it. So it's just a book like any other book from any other religion or anything. So it's not leaning towards anything. It's not things to lean toward, as far as being this versus that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What do you believe in? If it's not that or the other, you just believe that we self-exist, or we, how do we get here? How do mankind get here?
Well, I believe, I'm not going to say I believe. I accept what science has proven through experimentation. I accept those things. They are the best explanations.
What have they proven? What have they actually proven, though?
Let him speak. Let him finish. Go ahead. Okay, Shelton.
Whatever science, what has been brought to us through experimentation, and that is what I accept. I have no. When I go, if I have an ailment and I go to the doctor, and the medicines that they that they have through experimentation, that proves that it cures an illness or treats an illness based on evolutionary biology, and I put it in my body and it works. If I have a pain and they give me medication based on evolutionary biology, then that's proof.
But you are aware that
medication doesn't work.
Excuse me, but you are aware that medication and physicians has been around before, way back. So they haven't actually proven anything. So again, I ask, what have they actually proven? Have they proven that they can create, or that they can come up with water or dust, or can they prove that where that come from? Because here's what I want to say. Sometimes the simplicity of a question can be answered with the simplicity of an answer. I just want to say this here. We have monkeys and apes walking around right now, and I have not yet found one time in the last 1,000 years that they have seen one evolve.
Well, then you haven't done any research then. That's at the point.
Well, can you prove that has happened in the last, let's say, 2,000 years?
All you have to do to answer that is go into Google and to find the fossil finds, and you can see evolution of man.
So you do deal with Darwin you do deal with Darwin then.
You can go to a museum, okay, and you can see. Because you didn't see it does not mean it does not exist. That means that you need to go out and do more research. The other thing.
Well, hold on. You deal with Darwinism then. Let's make it clear. Do you or do you not? Because he asked you before.
You're going too far back, brother, and don't make Darwin a straw man. We're talking about evolutionary biology today. Don't use Darwin as you want to knock Darwin down. We're talking about when you go to the doctor, okay, if you have a pain or an ailment, you're going to go to a physician who has done research and experimentation to come up, and pharmaceutical companies and scientists to come up with medications to cure your illness. We're not talking about Darwin. You have a choice. are you going to take that medication or are you going to get on your knees and pray? Which would you do?
Well, let me ask you. My mic had kind of dropped out a little bit.
It's an easy question. Which one are you going to do?
No. I'm saying my mic kind of dropped out a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Let her on.
Now, one of the things we see here is the brother had came in and asked him, did he deal with some of Darwin's work, and it is evident that I think that he has showed us that he does. That one of the things we must realize here is medication is great, and that's good, and it's a quick fix. But number one is medication to live long, but it also adds what you call side effects to it. And the side effects to it lets us know that it is not a exact science. Therefore, because it is not an exact science, it is not a what you call a right or proper calculation. It furthers more complications and more complications and more complications. So what we must realize is if man himself is the creator of self, or if he is the origin like man claimed to be, because he studies everything, there would be no need to study self. There would be no ology behind anything. For instance, when we look, if I got a RT 2011 Charger, right? If I took that to GM or Chrysler, they put that car together. They have the manual to that car. They know how to fix that car up and how to break that car down. So therefore, if man is studying self still, that is telling us that he is not himself the originator of self or the intelligent designer of self. So we must realize that. So when the brother asks the question, when I go to the doctor, yes, if I'm going to get a temporary fix to help me to last a little bit longer, yes, I will. But for the most part, it causes more complications, which let us know that we are not the original.
What do you do on the flip side? Because what do you do on the other side? Ask that question. So you're going to take the medication that's been proven by scientists to work, but on the other side, why not just go to your deity, your creator, or your intelligent designer, as you say? But we don't know who that is. Why don't you just go to your intelligent designer to cure your? If you're saying that man is not, just hold on a second. If you're saying that man is not self-aware and all what you said, then you have a better solution. So my question is, why aren't you not going to your better solution? Why aren't you just not praying and doing whatever you have to do to interact with your intelligent designer / creator? Why aren't you just not going there? Because man is...
You kind of repeated that like 2 or 3 times. You want me to answer that or what?
Sure.
You repeated that 2 or 3 times. I don't know if you know that.
Repeating. So go ahead.
All right. Number one is, according to the ancients and according to the biblical text, what we're hearing now is what you call a dispensation. It's an administration period. This is a dispensation or a stewardship or a probationary period when we look at it. For instance, when we look at the biblical theology, it explains one thing. The Most High things subject unto man. So if everything was subject unto man and man lost that dominion to what we call an adversary, then therefore he himself have to undergo processes before he can gain what you call abundant life or immortality. And when we look at it, what was taken from man was a genetic code, which is what we call the tree of life. And that tree of life causes the physical man or the flesh of man to live forever. That's why when you deal with the text, it's talking about diet and food and things that sustain the man. Because what we are looking for and what we are searching for is in that tree, that genetic code that is in that tree to cause man to live forever and be attached to his God, who is a forever being just as well. So that's my answer to that. I think we undergo. There's a process that we undergo. When you put a car out and you're fixing on a car at GM, when you put that car out, that car has to undergo tests to be safe when it put out on that street for that family or to interact with traffic out there. So that's my answer to that.
Yeah, let somebody else jump in real quick. Yeah, go ahead, Sister Emunah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in on that question. That was an interesting question, but the either or for me, it makes it as if though, are you going to take the medicine or are you going to pray? With that question, I would like to precede that question. How do we get in that situation? The Torah and universal principles and laws teach us about balance. It teaches us about what to do and what not to do. So the situation that we're talking about now is one that is extreme because we already violated universal laws and principles. We already did the things that we weren't supposed to do. So there's a certain time that prayer isn't necessarily going to, like people say, magically heal you. You understand what I'm saying? There's things that the Creator put in the earth. There's herbs, there's food, there's things that we're supposed to do. And when we don't do those things, this is when we have to appeal to medicines. And let's just say that these medicines that are being made, they cannot be made without the natural herbs. They cannot be made without the natural minerals. They cannot be made without the natural plants. So we always have to revert back to the Creator's creation because man doesn't create anything. This is why they're up in space looking for water, because if they could have made water, they would have just made it there. You understand what I'm saying? So there is a base element of creation that we cannot negate, and when we go outside of what we're supposed to be doing, this is when we find ourselves in these situations. So just to answer the question, I would ask the question, how did you get in the position to be in the sickness that you are? And after you finish praying, you understand, for direction and guidance, then you get up off your knees and use the natural resources that the Creator has given you to heal yourself.
Brother Reggie, I know it's been a while. You want to jump in? Anything you want to say, Reggie? Go ahead.
I appreciate it. I'm going to try something new. If you have any questions that I'm unable to cover or want clarification, you can just email us at HaitianFreeThinkers@gmail.com. Once again, that's HaitianFreeThinkers@gmail.com. Or you can call or text our Google voice number, which is 678-820-9474, 678-820-9474. And this is a way I can maybe elaborate later on. But the question initially was that the young man asked was Shelton, or me and Shelton, since we're both atheists, are we pro-evolution via Charles Darwin, or are we, I guess, for the Bible in this explanation, if I understood him correctly? And my answer is that I am for facts. So if Charles Darwin has things that are factual, then that's what I'm for. You know, if the Bible had facts about, the origin of species or anything involving biology, then I'd be for that. Charles Darwin's work is often misunderstood by believers. So one of the first things I ask myself is that young man asking because he wants to know? Because if he doesn't know, then I can help point him to that direction. If he's asking to kind of show, I guess how ridiculous the notion sound that we as humans evolved, then that's something else. So there's plenty of information out there. I'm not going to be out here like insulting people's intelligence. If he honestly, or anybody out there, don't know, there's a lot of resources out there. I'll do my best to point you to that direction. But we do know that evolution is a fact. We know that's happened. We do know that the Bible basically got biology wrong, and it's a testimony to its status as just another regular book. It's a book of history, mythology, songs. It's just a testament to the people and what they believed at that time. And so we know you can test, whether they're right or wrong by doing some simple experiments, which some of it is within its own pages. So I would definitely be pro-evolution, and that's because I understand the facts. And that's one of the things that's kind of tricky when I come onto like platforms like this, is that if that person doesn't know about evolution, a lot of people have this straw man understanding what evolution is. I have to go through the trouble of teaching them first and then telling them why what they know is not correct. And some people might get offended by that and get defensive. So the first thing is that hopefully you would know what evolution entails, and then we can discuss, if they have any problems with any particular aspects of it, and that's fine. So that's what I would offer.
I mean, there's different aspects of evolution. What evolutions are you talking about? I asked you about organic
evolutionary biology.
I'm talking about the scientific process of evolution through natural selection. That's what I'm talking about. What are you talking about?
Okay, so is that organic evolution? Is that what we talked about earlier, right? Natural selection, right?
Yes, natural selection is what?
Origin of life, right? You said that you didn't know anything about that.
Just abiogenesis, origin of life.
Abiogenesis is not the same thing as evolution, sir.
Can you explain to us what biogenesis means? That means that no non-life material can come out. I mean, no non-life material can come forth. I mean, no living material, dead material can come forth out of non-living material. Would you agree to that?
We don't know that yet.
That's when you deal with biogenesis. It states that you can't get life from dead material. You can only get life from living material. Would you agree to that?
Well, this is the thing.
Hold on. Let's break down biogenesis. Hold
on, LaRon. Stand by. We only have like 9 minutes on the air. I gotta let the people know that once the 9 minutes is up, that means we're gonna go into the overtime part of the show. I just want to ask my special guest: do you guys have any time to stay for the overtime part of the show? But if I want to ask you guys if not, okay. What about you, Sister Emunah? You have any time to stay for the overtime part of the show?
Indeed, I'm having an interesting Shabbat Day conversation, so yeah, I'll be here.
All right, Brother Reggie and LaRon, can you stay for the overtime part of the show?
Yes, most definitely.
Mashallah, Allah Akbar. I took the night off so I can be part of this, so let's do it.
Okay. All right, so people, what that means, if you're listening on social media, if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, after the 9 minutes up, you won't be able to hear the show online. You have to call in to hear the rest of the show via phone or via Skype. Again, that number is 646-716-7320, or you can always go back to the archive. This show is archived, for those who don't know. You can always go back and go check it out. Go to www.blogtalkradio.com/debate talk for you, or later on, I'm going to post it up on the YouTube channel, so you can check it out on the YouTube channel. That's www.youtube.com/debate talk for you. But we're going into over the time part of the show after the next 8 minutes now, so you're going to have to call in before the time runs out. And I want to shout out those people that are sharing it. A lot of people are listening on social media. They're sharing it on their personal page. They're making comments on social media. And so we appreciate the people creating awareness of Debate Talk for You, of the Roundtable episode 21. But we got to go to the people, guys. We have like 7 minutes on the air. Let's go to the next person. So much to say, so much information being put out there. Let's go to 404-732. You're live there.
Hey, what's up, man? It's Jim Brooks, YouTube, DJ Black.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Peace, LaRon. Now, it's been
peace, DJ Black.
Yeah, man, it's been an interesting conversation. Now, I'm an Israelite. You can call me a Hebrew or a Christian or whatever. But my thing is this right here, with the atheism thing, I want to stay on the topic because I seen it switch over to evolution and Darwinism and all that other stuff. The thing about disobedience, and I just want to make a comment, and I want those who believe in atheism to comment on what I'm about to say. The thing about disobedience, like the sister was talking about, the laws of the universe or whatever, the Bible has all these things in it. So what's the problem with not adhering to the Bible when it talks about obedience and disobedience? Do it make you upset with the Most High because he put universal principles in his book?
Well, you said the Most High put them in the book. How do you know that's the case?
Okay. Well, Now I knew that was going to be the next question that was going to be asked back towards me. The divine principle. It was divine. The same way the Most High had those people to put their inscriptions in those walls to let them know who was the king and this, that, and the third of the time. The same way the Most High put the divine spirit for those people to write the laws of Ma'at. The same way the Most High put everything is divine principle. So even if you say a man wrote that book, a man wrote everything. It was all this stuff is engineered by a man's hands. But but hold on, let me finish.
Huh?
You have two things to life. You could make life happy, the good for life and the bad for life. What we believe in when reading scripture, we believe in being the good for life. What the world believe in is how to conquer life. So again, I ask you, if all the stuff that unifies us and help our body, as far as the dietary laws, as far as how to love, as far as all that, why don't you read the Bible?
Well, my response to that is that men wrote the Bible, and the men inside of the Bible said that they were inspired by the God that they created. There's no other, that's what it is. For sure, creator that you call or the God that you call did not write it. Men wrote it. Men put the pen to paper. And then they told people to believe it, and they were inspired. And people use faith, belief without evidence, to believe what they wrote. That is the process. So, in essence, man created God. Okay, so that's the order of creation, and gave all these attributes to, which are all human attributes, arms and legs and hands and things like that. He's explained to people in human terms. So it is I could ask you the same question. Why don't you follow the Book of Mormon? Because the Book of Mormon has these things and that things, and if you disagree with the Book of Mormon, then it's going to invalidate. It's not going to mean anything to you. So if you don't believe in the Book of Mormon, and I put that to you, whatever your response would be if someone says the Book of Mormon tells you to do this and that, then that's my response to what is in the Bible, because it's written by men. That's how it is something that is for the people or person of that time, how they saw the world, which they were ignorant of what's going on today. So they didn't understand the environment. They thought the sun stood still in the sky. They had all these.
Yeah, the earth was flat.
But they didn't know. They were ignorant. So, no. I mean, we know more today. We know more today than they know. So, my question is, why don't we look into new books instead of looking into old books, looking for information? The update information, we have access to higher technologies today versus from a book of unknown origin and unknown authors.
I'm going to let the Theist respond real quick. But once again, we have like 3 minutes on the air, people. 3 minutes in the air. Again, if you want to hear the rest of the show live, you're going to have to call in. If you're listening on social media, the number is 646-716-7320. And again, we're going to be taking more questions for the people out there. All you got to do is press number 1, and we'll add you to the conversation, or you can check out the archives later on. But let's go to LaRon. You want to say anything, to address anything with that?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Yeah, I think early on when I came on, I talked about the conscience. I think that was very important. I think that's what Brother DJ Black was kind of addressing a little bit. I think that the conscience would deal with what is good and what is bad. I think these brothers really ain't dealt with that in here yet. I think the sister, she brought it out more so that we for that conscience to be there. That's one of the aspects that we see in the Bible of God. When he says, man has become one of us. They have become one of us in the knowledge of knowing good and evil. That is an aspect of God, knowing what is good and what is evil. And I think that that's the conscience of man. That's what's in him to help him govern himself. And when he doesn't govern himself accordingly to that conscience, therefore there must be written law or something that is written, which we deal with the word. Can you guys hear me? Because I'm getting like a bad feedback or something.
Yeah, I got you, but it's like off and on, but it's pretty much good though. Go ahead.
You said so when you look at also the brother talked about faith. The Bible say by faith, it says faith is the substance of things hoped for. So the substance of things hoped for is actually the word. So when you look at the word, if you show me in the Bible where the Most High spoke anything to anybody, and when he spoke something to them, they moved upon the word. That was the substance. That's what faith is, moving on the word. It's not nothing just believing.
Yeah, LaRon, you kind of breaking up, brother. You're breaking up. Stand by, because we're going to overtime, work that out. We're the overtime part of the show. But let's go to Emunah. Sister Emunah, you want to say anything? You want to address anything that was said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. I wanted to touch on the knowledge. I think that's a thread that's going throughout the show, the knowledge. And it is, for me, and it's that feminine principle. It's imbalance when we speak about knowledge continually and we don't talk about understanding and wisdom, because without them, there is no balance. We live in a time, like the brother was saying, that knowledge is abounding, but people are dying more. You understand what I'm saying? We live in a time that people are gorging on this knowledge, but not applying it, like the brother was saying, correctly, and they have the knowledge of the good and evil. So yes, we're talking about a text that is what some are ascribing as ancient, but I would beg to say, if we look even as he was saying in the dietary laws, there are people today that's understanding, even though it wasn't explained to where it is that you can go under the microscope and understand the fullness of why you should not ingest unclean foods. Today, like you like to say, if you want to go on the YouTube, if you want to go on the Wikipedia, you can see what ingesting pork will do to your insides. You understand? And so it's a matter of observing the universal principles, and that takes more of, when we're reading books and when we're doing all of these things, we're observing what someone else has observed. But if we're going to take the Torah, if we're going to take any wisdom, and then we take it so that we can observe it for ourselves. And if you see that the swine doesn't have any sweat glands, and the swine, keeps all the toxins in its body, and then it turns around, why are we going to just say, or my question to the atheist is, the same way that you can go into other books and understand that this is wisdom right here, or this is wise to do, why do you totally reject what the Torah or the Bible is saying? Because it seems to me that, and I've heard this in more than one occasion, it's like, okay, I'm just going to totally discount this because of what people have done with the information, not necessarily that the information in itself doesn't lend any value. So I would like for someone to say, to kind of answer that for me, what in the text is so unvaluable that you can't adhere to any of it?
Well, I would answer that as like creating people and then slaughtering them. That's invalid. That definitely invalidates it for me. Sanctioning slavery, that invalidates it for me. Sanctioning rape invalidates it for me. The list goes on and on. So, and if you want to say what the dietary laws are, if you say that a swine does this to the body, a cow does the same thing to the body as well. So.
Come again? You said cow does the same. The cow does the same.
Yeah, the beef for humans is bad. So, so it's not like it's this. My thing is always, why go into these old books when we have doctors and we have studies that show that, okay, if you ingest this type of processed meat or high diet in red meat, that it will cause it makes you more prone to heart attacks and stroke because your body can't properly break down animal products. So it clogs your blood, and your blood vessels get so small. Well, eventually they get blocked and you have a stroke. This is the latest in technology, the latest in science. So we're going to go back to an old book, or it's a fact. Who knows who wrote this? People are putting their faith, which is, LaRon incorrectly didn't finish what he said about faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That is belief without evidence.
And as I said, as I said before, I would bid you to look at the origins of the word. That's the translation. As it is in the New Testament, that is someone explaining what faith is. But the actual origin of the word faith, which is aman, that's not what faith means. That's what faith has become. It's like what you're talking about now, what something was. So we're talking about the origins of man, the origins of this, and I would just submit to the conversation, just because it was written a long time ago doesn't mean it's not valid. If we can pull it into the century that we're in and it's still valid, truth is truth. It doesn't change. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, go ahead.
The slavery was valid back in that day, but it's not valid today. There's actually rules for slavery in the Torah. So your objection, now we're getting to, because I didn't want to assume, but now we're getting to what the objection to the Torah is the objection to some of the things that history bears out. Am I correct? And because of that, the discounting of the entire text is what it has taken place. Am I correct in that assertion? Well, yeah, the discounting, because there's the interior discounting of it and exterior. Interiorly, it's, if you look at the character of the creator in that story, which is all what I consider it, it's not a benevolent creator. It is someone who decides to create man and then decides to kill every living, not only just man because man disobeyed, but to kill everything, every living thing on the planet other than what can be fit into a wooden boat. And to me, that's it. That's in the story. How do you go from there to knowledge? How do you go to the respect for that being?
Okay, so can I ask you, in your estimation, was it just or unjust? So that I can have clarity. Was that a justice or injustice?
That shouldn't be a question. Under what conditions should mass murder? I mean, that's past mass murder. That is just totally depleting the planet of life because this creator being was offended.
But just for clarity, I know I'm gonna ask it again. In your estimation, was it just or unjust?
It's barbaric. It's past barbaric. So it's not even on a justice scale. I mean, if you had children, and let's just put it this way, if we are all God's children, okay, and we have our children, is there in any situation, is it just to kill our children?
So let me ask you a quick question. I think that you didn't really answer the sister's questions. For answers you do. There is a problem. We see that there is a problem. We see that murder is murder, killing, stealing. All of these things is a problem, and we see that the Bible addresses these things. We talked about the conscience between what is good and evil. Now, my question to you is, I think that you kind of like skipped around her question a little, her question a little bit. What I want to ask you is, what she asks is, how do we solve this problem? If you say that it's not injustice, or you say that you say that it's injustice, or you say that it's justice, whether or not you say it's injustice, how do we solve the problem that has this going on in this world right now, prior to even when we deal with the theology of the biblical text, when it states that killing was going on prior to in that land or in these lands before the Israelites even came to that land? How do we deal with this initial condition of man to raise up his hand against the next man? How do we deal with that?
Well, I mean, that's just a story to me. I mean, you're framing it in a way like it's, like it's something that happened, but there's
I'm talking about now. Hold on. Let's leave the Bible out of it. How do we deal with that now?
Yeah, you're laying the groundwork like it's resting on that foundation, but it does not rest on that foundation until you could actually prove that that's true. But
in our current worldview, how do we deal with this? How do we deal with this unjust government system internationally?
Well, it depends on the way you look at it. You can look at everything, and there are injustices in this world, like there's always been. But it's not framed under this pessimistic view of like this type of apocalyptic event has to happen to right all the wrongs of the world. That's run through a religious and a theology through that filter, which I don't base myself from that filter. Like we have to start with this like we got to pay this eternal debt because somebody did something wrong because a man ate fruit in the garden. That's not my worldview. That's just a book like every other book. And
well, hold on. You're steady talking about the book. I'm asking you, how do we deal with the situation? You steady talking about the book.
Well, I'm telling you, people are solving problems as we go on. I mean, it's not like a committee of people together to resolve all the world problems. I mean, there's good and bad.
Would you agree to depopulate the earth is one of the ways to solve the problems?
To kill everybody on the earth that you created. Okay, this is the workflow for that. God creates people. God is all knowing.
No, I'm listening. I'm telling you, we're not talking about God, brother.
Let me finish my statement. This is the thing. This is the flow. People are created by an all-knowing, all-powerful being. Yet he did not foresee the fact that he had to kill not only them but every other living thing that he created. That just totally invalidates that whole thing for me. So it can't be based on that. And to your question about how we solve the world ills today, how we solve things today is you can solve them on an individual basis, on a humanitarian basis, like the question of slavery. Slavery was okay according to that book. But as people evolved, slavery is not okay today. Raping women was okay according to that book. Now today it's not okay. Slaughtering people because it offended a creator was okay according to that book, but it's not okay today. So who made that decision?
Hold on, brother. Let me ask you a question. No, because you're kind of long-winded a little bit. And
you got to know, brother. You're one of the longest-winded people I know. But go ahead.
Hold on. I see you keep shooting at the book, but you're not really shooting at the current conditions that we're dealing with right now. For instance, there's rape that's still going on in the communities, also and worldwide, internationally. That hasn't been dealt with. For instance, there's terrorism. For instance, the science that you talk about, right? The scientific calculations or the scientific is supposed to help people. It's been calculated that there is only a limited amount of resources on this earth. So to preserve humanity, they must depopulate the earth. What do you think about stuff like that? How do you deal with that? Why do people feel the need to move in somebody else's space or to take their space or to take what's the next person? Now, if you want to look at the Bible and say this is what the Bible is doing, well, hold on. According to you, the Bible didn't come about to this one time. But prior to, we still had these conditions in our society. So how do you deal with those things, bro? And you haven't gave us a resolution today. You keep talking about the Bible is not the resolution. Well, give us a resolution then.
Did you hear what I said? I said that things are solved through human interaction. Humans evolving.
Well, hold on.
Bro, you're not letting them answer.
Hold on. And matter of fact, hold on, Shelton as well. I got to bring Reggie in, man. And just to let people know, Sister Emunah, her call dropped, and it's an overtime part of the show, so she's unable to call back in, due to the overtime part of the show. But we're definitely going to bring her back on Debate Talk for you, and we appreciate her for being here. But Brother Reggie, you can jump in, and after that, we got to go to the phone lines. We have some more callers standing by. So, Brother Reggie, go ahead.
All right. There's been so much said, I don't even know if I'm answering a question or if I should pose a question. How do you want me to answer? What do you want me to do?
Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, man. Go ahead.
It's your world.
Your world.
Okay, so from my perspective, these guys are creatures of the imagination. They're characters in books, okay? So that's my perspective. So my question to the believers is, I have two questions, but the first one is, how do you go about determining that which is real or that which exists from that which does not exist? How do you go about doing that? I'll start with that first question.
It's I guess, Sal, you want me to go with that or what?
Yeah, you're going to answer that briefly, and after that, we got to go to the callers. Well, matter of fact, Shelton call actually dropped, too. Shelton call dropped, so it's only you two guys now here. Wow, but that.
All right, how do I, one of the things is the biblical text says, and not just the biblical text, as far as ancient history and Egyptology, Kemet, it says the soul is above and soul is below. Well, the biblical text says just as well also. It says that we understand the things that are unseen by the things that are seen. So therefore, the best thing that's seen, who I am in the image and likeness of, is God. So as I view myself as being an intelligent designer, as making from what the Creator has made, man in general, they intelligently design from what God has created. So therefore, as I view myself in the image and likeness of God, and view the conscience, my conscience, which is laws within me to that which is good and evil, this is how I can understand the things that are unseen. And so we are without excuse. And then also when I view the world, the current world view of what's going on and what the Bible talks about, that confirms the things that are unseen. In order for me to understand the things that are unseen from a scientific perspective and also from a religious perspective, I must go and start dealing with the things that are unseen, as the ancients did when they made temples, and as the scientists do behind closed doors when they deal with the spiritual realm, or when they deal with the things that's unknown to the eye. That's messing with the things that are unseen with the natural eye. That's what we call spirit realm, which what they define as the non-material realm.
Okay, so
let's go to the. Yeah, got it. Yeah, let's go to the phone lines. Once again, you know that number, 646-716-7320. Again, we apologize. Shelton and Sister Emunah call dropped, so we're going to get them back on, I guess, in the future, Debate Talk for You. But again, we appreciate the special guest that participated on this particular roundtable, episode 21. Let's go to the next caller. Let's go to 425-737. You're live on Debate Talk for You.
Hey, how you doing, Sal? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Yeah, this James, and I was just calling in because I was listening in and I heard the brother make a lot of assertions as if they were facts, like the assertion that technology today is so much greater than ancient times, when we know that with the technology we have today that we can't even fathom building a pyramid or a ziggurat or anything of that nature. We also know that with the technology that we have today, that the application and the uses of the technology we have today has caused more destruction in our environment and in our world than ever before in human history. But we're constantly finding out in these ancient civilizations, they had a lot of things that we had today. No, they didn't have a TV or an automobile or anything like that, because with their knowledge, they didn't want to destroy the earth. And also we know in ancient times that we had civilizations that knew about the solar system better than NASA knows today. And every time NASA comes up with something new, they're fascinated by how a lot of the ancient Sumerian texts had these things already documented in them, and they didn't have telescopes or anything like that. So I think that assertion is kind of fraudulent, and you shouldn't bring it up in these type of debates. And one more thing that I would like to say is the fact that the brother brought up slavery as a reason for not going into the Bible or something like that, like it validates slavery. But we can't compare what they say is slavery to what our ancestors went through here in the Americas, because it's two completely different concepts. Like we consider ourselves free in America, quote unquote free. But because we have another nation ruling over us or in all the positions of power, we would be considered as in slavery. So you can't use that as an excuse when in ancient times our present condition is slavery, but we don't see it that way. We see ourselves as free.
All right, let's go to Reggie. You want to respond?
Sure. So we still don't know how the pyramids were built, is what I heard, and that technology back in the day was awesome, and they've done some really great things like build the ziggurat. That's what I heard, and I think we found out how the pyramids were built, but if not, again, I don't know if the young man did some research to find out whether or not it's true, but I think there's some information about how those things were built. Also, he talked about slavery, how it was different from how our ancestors went through. That's a classic apology for the slavery in the Bible. What I read from the different versions definitely does not support that. I do know where to get that from, though. There are some people that apparently have done indentured servitude in the Bible, but there's other passages which, if I can Google a few seconds from now, or if he wants to holler at me afterwards, I can show that there was slavery, if not the same, but similar to what African people went through. But whether it was not the same exactly or whatnot, I'm of the opinion that it was a bad thing, that the Bible was wrong with that. And it's not just an Old Testament thing. For people that don't know, slavery as well in the New Testament as well. Even Jesus kind of hinted at it, talked about, So there's nothing out there as far as not supporting slavery. So that's my response to what he said.
If I could ask him another quick question, if that's okay. Do you know anything about what was going on in ancient Israel to make the assertion that it was the same? And you have to know that you're talking to someone who's very astute in the Bible, and I know anything that you can go to can be easily debunked, because I can tell just by the way you're talking, you're going off a surface level and a Google type knowledge and not an in-depth knowledge of the civilization at all.
So my question is that do I know the story behind the stories in the Bible, especially dealing with slavery?
No, you missed. Do you know anything about the culture or civilization and what it was considered slavery within it?
Yes, I know. I would say yes. I think you are going with something specific, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just letting you know what's inside the Bible and what I've read, what's available, to anybody online or offline. So, but maybe that's something that you're going to bring to the table that I wasn't aware of. I don't know. You tell me. What do you have to justify the behavior of the people of the Bible?
Oh, you asked me what do I have to justify it? I don't think it's a notion of justifying anything. I'm trying to figure out how much, for you to make an assertion like that, how much knowledge do you know of the civilization to say that it is the same as what our ancestors went through in slavery in modern times? Because what our ancestors went through was chattel slavery, and that's a hugely different concept from what indentured servitude, which is exactly what you would have been dealing with, or any type of servitude with another nation being under your control.
Right, I've heard people make that excuse. To me, it doesn't fly. If there was a difference between the chattel slavery and the slavery in the Bible, to me, it's still disgusting. If you feel like the biblical version of slavery is anything decent or good, you let me know. But I still think it's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, let's go to LaRon. LaRon, you can jump in briefly. You got it.
I definitely would have to agree with Brother James there. I'm familiar with the brother. He does a lot of studying and archaeology, studying his historical dealings and stuff. So, the brother stay in the books, So I definitely agree with what he's testing to with asking the brother, do he actually study those things? Because that's very important, because we have what you call historical observation and historical data, and you have to, as I said before, gather from those sources just as well. That's very important that we gather from those sources to understand what these people was dealing with. And, especially when you get off into sacrifice, like even with atheism. Atheism, it's something that's actually this recent, actually. When you deal with the ancient cultures and their ancestors, they wasn't atheists. They were sacrificing and divining and to divine ones. So it's kind of a weird thing that has come about, when I didn't have enough time this time to really pick apart a lot of stuff and go back and forth, but and farther in the future, I would like to pick a couple of things apart. I think that the brother Reggie is honest and he's sincere in what he's bringing and as far as like what he believes in and what he's dealing with. But I think that the other brother Shelton, man, this brother, man, is real deceitful, man, and you know, I think we're gonna have to mix it up and get it in and for once and for all. So Sal, you're gonna have to set something up with this dude, man, to where me and him just go back and forth and have a discussion with it.
All right, once again, it's Debate Talk View, the Roundtable, episode 21, Non-Believers versus Theists. My special guest is LaRon Campbell. We have Reggie here. We have, Shelton Henderson was here. And Sister Emunah, Israel, were here. And again, the show is archived. You can always go back and go check it out. We're going to take a few more callers, guys. This person number one will get added with a conversation. And after that, I'm going to pretty much wrap it up. Again, you know, I appreciate the special guests, all the special guests that came to the panel and brought out the information. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to 773-640. You're live on air.
Shabbat shalom, Sal. Shabbat shalom, LaRon. Peace to everybody on the panel.
Peace, Mikhail and Israel.
Peace, bro. Shalom. Hey, I love the new mix with the two sisters on there. That's unique. I don't think I've ever seen that one done quite before like that, and I liked it. They was very eloquently spoken too. So, you know, I think that was a beautiful mix, bro. I've been listening the whole show, and it's been a real entertaining show. It's been interesting. Both parties, you know, asking interesting questions. By the way, I love the Sister Emunah name because that's my wife's name, too. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, fuck you.
You said what?
No, I was saying something else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and like when the brother James called in, I think LaRon held it down real good. James called in, and it was a lot of assumptions made. For instance, I don't even want to get into the whole slavery rape thing because the rape thing is false. That's Deuteronomy chapter 20 is taken all out of context. I would just like to say one thing I heard one of the guests on the atheist side say earlier. I don't know if it was Shelton or the other brother. Sorry, I can't remember the name. They said that you cannot. You can. He named all the things you could debunk in the Bible, and one thing he said was men coming from dirt of the ground. Well, I beg to differ on that. I'm into herbs. I take herbs, and if you know anything about the human body, our body actually has all of the values of the planet Earth in them already. We have copper, silver, gold, and all of the even platinum inside of our body. Now, how do you explain it? You can't just say it's breathing it from air, and that's because we were made up from the fine minerals of the soil, you know, from the earth. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And again, like I always ask atheists, even if you don't believe in the Bible, when was the book of Isaiah written? And they'll tell you if they know any kind of history, it was probably written, around 3,000 years ago, give or take. And then so I always have to ask them, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22, it describes the earth as a round circle. How was that possible? How could Isaiah know that? He didn't have no NASA photos or no satellite. And so I think that's just something you have to open to consider. But again, this is a real interesting conversation, and I'd probably like to jump in on the next. But peace, Shabbat Shalom, man, and much love to everybody on the panel. Good show.
Brother Reggie, you can respond to that, man. You can reply to that.
All right. This is what I heard. Oh, I was the one that made the comment that humans do not come from dirt or dust, as Genesis says. I forgot which version, depending, I guess, on the Bible. So that's true. We were not born from dirt, and he said that he takes herbs, and so the human body has a lot of the properties of the earth, like I think he mentioned some metals or whatnot. We are carbon-based life forms. We we are made from the same stuff that the earth was created from. So you'll find some similarities in the things that are within us if you break us down anatomically speaking. So yeah, you're going to find some things that the earth and us, we have in common. However, if you think that human beings come from dirt or dust, then I would venture to have that individual or somebody else just kind of, if possible, reproduce that again, like just have or ask God, whichever God they believe in, to do it again, and then the conversation will be over. Once you present that evidence, that settles it. The other thing that he mentioned was, what was it that he mentioned?
Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22, it describes the earth as the one.
Right, so that's a very popular one. When I was doing my apologetics work, just like the Muslims, when the Muslims say, well, Muhammad mentioned this in the Quran, how would he have known that? Because he was illiterate. Have you heard Muslims talk like that?
Yes, I'm familiar with the Muslim talk.
Right, so when they do that, most people who are not Muslim may or may not be impressed by their claims, but the thing I will say about the Isaiah verse in particular is that a circle is not the same thing as a sphere, right? So in that verse, it has the word circle, and that's why I personally have seen some models of the biblical earth to be like a circular flat earth, and I wouldn't say that's the same thing as a sphere. Our planet is a sphere, which is the same thing to say as a ball. So if Isaiah said it 3,000 years ago, then I would say that he's still wrong in that it doesn't represent the true 3D image of how the earth actually is. We're not living on a circle. We're living on a spheroid planet, which is a ball. So that's how I answer that question.
Well, I actually have I have another one. I didn't come for that, but I have another one to go with it. It's also in the book of Job, where it literally tells you that the earth, yes, if you get a chance, I'll try to get the information for you. I think it's Job chapter, I want to say 6. I posted it before, but it actually talks about. I'm online now. It literally talks about the water overflowing around the earth. So that lets you know it's a ball. And it say that water goes over the top of the earth and it returns from under the bottom of the earth. That can only happen with a sphere. So, so it's a lot of stuff, I mean, because you got to think about it. The Europeans just thought the earth was a flat, four-corner box just, a few hundred years ago. So I think, I think it's interesting. I think you would have a problem trying to debunk those. So.
I'm trying to look up the Job reference. I'll do my best if I can find it so I can quote it for you. But that's fine. If you think those two verses give you reason to think that the Bible is something special, then I think you can understand why people find Islam to be something special, because they have lots and lots of these claims where they say, well, for example, Islam claims that Muhammad, through the angel Gabriel, learned how the human body was formed through the embryo. You might hear about that. You'll hear about how Muhammad was in the Bible and how could he have known, before he was born. So a lot of people make these claims, and some people are impressed and are satisfied by thinking that a circle is the same thing as a sphere. The Job reference I haven't found, so please excuse me, I can't really refer to that. But if you think that that equals a sphere, and that's fine. What I would do is I would take that passage in Job and I would put it into, I'll show you what I use. I use BibleHub.com, and you can have parallel scriptures with different versions. And you'll see the different words that they use instead of sphere, and you can see like the different versions, and that will let you know that somebody might have used like our current knowledge to insert it into the verse to make it seem like they knew something that they did. Just like in the Quran, there's the word atom, atom, but we know that the atom was discovered way after Muhammad was dead. So that gives me reason to believe that whoever wrote the word Adam for that word, just retrofitted it to make it seem like the Quran was miraculous. You see how that works? So that's probably what happened there.
LaRon, let me let LaRon jump in. Go ahead, LaRon.
I definitely would have to. I definitely have to look at what the, what the brother Mikael was saying. I think he brought some good information just as well. Like I say, it comes with studying, the historical background of these people. I think most of all, the Bible is dealing with, overall, people overall, just mankind and the character of mankind and a fallen state of man trying to figure out himself or find himself. The Bible reveals a lot of things about the earth. It's so much stuff I'm studying on right now, that mankind is still trying to grasp about their own environment. So I definitely agree with a lot of the stuff that the brother brought out about Isaiah 40 and 22. Matter of fact, Isaiah 40 and 22, it says he stretches out the heavens as a tent to dwell therein. That is the reason why man is actually searching out there for life, because if he say he stretches out the heavens as a tent for to dwell therein, then people are looking for life on other planets. This solar system is actually desolate, and the Bible gives us the answer on to why it is desolate. So there's a lot of answers that's in the biblical text, and I definitely agree with that brother. When he said what he said, it's a lot of information that can be put out there.
All right, guys. We're in the final stages of the show. Again, I appreciate everybody that's calling in, that's, still listening via phone and via Skype. Overtime part of the show, we have a lot of listeners checking out the show, period. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I don't see anybody else pressing number one. Once again, this is your time. It's Debate Talk for you. It's for you, the people out there. So if you have any questions or comments, just press number one and we can add you in, or else we can just wrap up the show pretty much, and, maybe we could set a part two to this conversation or something like that. But I don't see anybody else pressing number one. Yeah, got it.
The second question I want to ask real quick, I know time is running out, is it more important how an atheist acts when it comes to these dialogues, or is it more important of what information or fact that they bring to the conversation from the believer's perspective?
I think that, how you carry yourself, is a great thing, but, that's a great thing, but I think that that's not really enough, because as we look out into the world and we see that, you have atheists out there that don't believe in God and don't even know the principles of God, and the majority of them carrying on with a lot of foolishness. And you have people that out there that believe in God, and the majority of them are carrying on with a lot of foolishness. So I think that overall, we have to look at the big picture here of the cosmos, or this social world system. This social world system, the majority of them is going to be on some foolery, on some crap, and they don't have any morality in them at all. And that's why we're in the current view or picture that we're in now. So I think that plays a role, but for the most part, I think it is much more than that. It's so much more than that. If you feel that you can govern yourself accordingly, then you can. But for some reason, man has thousands of, or if you want to say millions of years, have not governed himself accordingly, but have lived like animals. And is that our purpose? What are we purpose here to do? Are we purpose here to live like animals? If you say that we are animals, are we purpose to have animal-like instincts to kill each other and rule over each other and take each other's land? If so, then you justify what white supremacy or any other supremacy group is doing to those who they are oppressing.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
And once again, it's Debate Talk for you. I actually got an email question for Reggie, actually, and it says, what do you think about the prophecies in the Bible, Matthew 24, Revelations, Daniel, etc.? How do you explain the prophecies in the Bible? Okay.
I would say the same way I'd explain the prophecies in the other books. Believers see what they want to see, generally speaking, Or you have a situation where if you want to fabricate a prophecy, if I'm the author of a book, I can write the prophecy in the beginning, and since I'm the author of the book at the end, I can make the end part of the book seem to correspond with the beginning. If you take Christians and Jews, you put them in the room and you discuss prophecy, you'll see that the Jews that I know, they'll take apart the Christians in a hot second. If you have some Muslims, they'll show you prophecy that helps them as Muslims. They'll tell you that Muhammad was in Deuteronomy chapter 18, I believe. They say his name is in the book of Psalms. But the Christians will not see that because the way things work is that these are subjective, mostly emotional things. So it seems like it's prophecy. With the Christians specifically, some of their prophecies are really sloppily written, especially in the author of Matthew. The author of Matthew tried very hard to make it seem like Jesus was the prophesied Messiah, and he failed very bad. Now, whoever wrote that email, I apologize if I don't have the time to go into the detail, but I promise you I'll get you the information to know what I'm talking about. If you email me at HaitianFreeThinkers at gmail.com, or you can, like I said, text the number 678-820-9474. But the long story short is that prophecy is mostly subjective, and that's why, for example, there was a shooting in Paris today that's horrible, right? Imagine if someone had the power to predict that exact time and date, and then be like, yo, it was in the Quran, and that's how we were supposed to stop that. We don't use these books to prevent these things or to help us because they're not true, they're not helpful. People speculate. Remember that old white man, what's his name, that just passed away when he said that the world was going to pass away a few years ago. You see what I'm saying? He was guaranteeing that stuff. You feel me? It doesn't work. The Jehovah's Witnesses predicted that the world was going to end in 1914 and 1874, I believe it is. I might be wrong about the dates, but they failed. Whenever a religious person or a group put their reputation on the line with specific information, they will fail because there's no such thing as prophecy unless you use a lot of imagination. So that's what I have to say about that.
And LaRon, you can share your input on that question.
Yeah, I think prophecy is very important. I think the brother skipped over a couple of things, like when you did with Daniel, and it talks about Daniel 70 weeks, and the 70 weeks consisting of years. You know, it's very important because we know 70 weeks from a Hebrew perspective we consist of 7 days, and they deal with the Sabbaths and carrying on and the new moons and different things. So, I think that when you deal with Daniel 70 weeks and then it talks about the temple being destroyed and then it talks about after 483 years, the temple was going to be destroyed. It actually happened in 30 A.D. So, you can't, in 70 A.D. So you can't, the book of Daniel, it was written, they want to attest to it and say around 300 B.C. That's what they want to give it, or they want to go down and say it was Lord and that, whatever the case may be. But you still have a prophecy there, and the prophecy that you have there is there before 70 A.D. even come. This is a B.C. prophecy. So, this actually happened in 70 A.D. So, and that's just not even the more of it. There's so much other prophecies is there that I can't even mention for this time's sake. But, as far as what the brother said about Matthew, I think he has to really understand and sit down and understand Matthew writing from a Jewish perspective or from being a Jew, from his perspective. You know what I'm saying? Because Matthew is basically paralleling Israel to Christ. And out of Egypt have I brought my son. If Israel never came out of Egypt, then Jesus himself would have never came about. So he's paralleling a lot of this information. So I know the arguments that the brother is going to bring, that he's going to say that Matthew failed prophecies. I'm apt to teach. I'm already ready for those arguments already. I've studied that best Jewish rabbis and also Hebrew scholars or whatever the case may be, what they believe on it. I have studied that, on their perspective on it. And I think Matthew was a great writer, and he got nothing understood. And he was writing from of understanding from a Jew aspect or from a Hebrew aspect?
All right, so we could get into the specifics. I, of course, disagree with what he's saying, but specifically dealing with Daniel and the 70 weeks and all that, it's been a while since I read Daniel, so please forgive me, but I do not remember Daniel talking about specifics like, 70, at this given time, some Roman soldiers are going to come and they're going to destroy the temple. It wasn't like explicit. You have to read into these things in order to make yourself feel good about the prophecies, you see? Because let's say if Daniel said that specifically there's a group of people named the Romans, they're going to come, they're going to destroy the temple at this location, guess what the Jews probably would have done? I know I would have done. I would have prepared for it. I probably wouldn't have gotten conquered. You see what I'm saying? The more specific you are, the more you'll see that there's no such thing as prophecy. You need imagination. You need to be vague. And that's why Christians cannot see what Muslims see in the Bible. That's why Protestants cannot understand when Catholics see the Virgin Mary in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? And Jews don't understand why Christians see Jesus in Genesis. They see Jesus in Isaiah chapter 53. They see Jesus in Psalm 110 and all these things. They're looking at you like you have two heads because it's very subjective. Now, if you are like Harold Camping, where you stick your neck out there, you give specifics. You say, listen, on this day, on June 21 at 9:35 p.m., as it says here in this holy book, this will happen. That's where the rubber meets the road. You'll find out that person is wrong. And then, like Harold Camping, they will make apologies. And then people not be.
Well, let me ask a quick question because I think we're kind of getting off a topic a little bit as far as in regard. I wanted to ask some things. We talked about the condition, and we talked about the conditions of what we're in our worldview right now. Let me ask you this. And I definitely, I think this must be dealt with in our current view. In our worldview, we dealing with racism, we dealing with homosexuality, and we also dealing with a lot of things that's in our communities. That's causing division. What do you think about those two things that we're dealing with right now? Because those are the two things that's on the forefront right now. A lot of racism going on. And homosexuality. You've been an atheist. How would you respond to those things? Or what do you think about those things?
I think that racism and anti-homosexual propaganda are bad. Obviously, unfortunately, both of those things are in the Bible. So we have racism in the Bible. We have, of course, a lot of anti-homosexual stuff in the Bible. And how I would deal with that is to what you would say? They have sensitivity training. You have you can teach people. You can the best thing is to get a chance to
Can you clarify anti-homosexuality? I mean anti-homo. What do you mean by that?
Well, a lot of people don't like homosexuals because of their religion. So I'm not sure if you know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the death penalty that's given to people that are homosexual in the Old Testament or in the Jewish Bible, to be more specific. So people use those excuses to hate on people that are homosexuals. So if you were to take that away, if you tell the people that these are nothing but mythological stories, then you will have less anti-gay stuff. Now, I understand that some people without the religion, they still may not like gay people. If you don't like gay people, then stay away from them. You don't have to deal with gay people, but realize.
No, I'm asking you: is homosexual something that is that something that is allowable to you? Is that something? How do you feel? Like that's what I'm trying to ask you. Like, is that?
I have no problems with homosexuals.
You said you have no problem with homosexuals?
Yes, I have no problems with homosexuals.
Oh, is that something that's natural to you, or is it unnatural?
They are part of nature, so it is natural. Now, I want to make a distinction. I'm sorry?
So you said homosexuality is natural?
part of nature, so it is natural. Now, I want to make a distinction. Some people say
hold
that
on. Hold on, real quick before you say that. So, are you saying that if a child come out crippled, is that something that is natural or unnatural?
It's natural.
Oh, really? Okay, go ahead, brother. Continue on.
Right.
Is that not? I thought that's like a birth defect or something like that. That's something that's unnatural or something. But go ahead though.
Well, you don't have. You can be crippled after you're born. Like if you get into a car accident, you can become crippled. You can become sick. Like when people used to catch polio, you can become crippled because of disease. So there's different ways you can become crippled. Homosexuality has been displayed in other animals. If you want to look that up as well. But I want to make a distinction. When people ask me if homosexuality is natural, I think what they're asking is it commonplace? Like, I'm left-handed. If someone were to say that, is it natural for people to be left-handed? Obviously, most of the world is right-handed. So just because I'm left-handed, is it natural for me to be left-handed? I think if people look at it that way, they're going to have to say, well, yeah, but I just write with a different hand. But most people are right-handed. Most people are heterosexual. There are some people that are bisexual, and of course, there are some people that are homosexual. It's just the number of people and whatever preference that they have. But it's part of nature. They are within nature, so that's why I use the term natural. Is it common? No, something that's within nature. And some people don't like it because they find it to be disgusting. They don't understand it, and I think that's part of the root of the hatred of it. With racism, I find that how you solve racism is to introduce people together, because a lot of people learn about each other through stereotypes, and so since they're learning through each other through stereotypes, when they actually meet someone that's black or somebody that's white or Chinese or whatever, they come at them with that stereotype. But when you talk to that person, you find out that they're just regular people. They have some things in common with you and some things that's not in common with you because they come from a different background. So by introducing people and having dialogue, hopefully racism will go down. So that's how I would answer those two questions.
Let me respond to that real quick. 1 or 2 minutes with this gentleman. I have a question.
Hold on. We got only 10 minutes left, man. 10 minutes left, bro. I'm going to give you the last 5 minutes, though.
Yeah, do me a favor. This is the brother Basim. If you could get this gentleman rescheduled for another date, I would like that, possibly debate him or have a discussion pertaining on several of the things he laid out. Because to be quite honest, I'm shocked and appalled. But go ahead, LaRon.
Yeah, you can use the last 5 minutes, LaRon. Use the last 5 minutes because I want to make sure you guys get some last words in. Go ahead. We only have 10 minutes left, though.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and put my statements out there. Once again, as y'all can see, not making any direct attacks at the brother, but this is the type of stuff that we must. We have to have universal laws, and we have to have things written down to come against, because you cannot sit up there and be saying that homosexuality is natural, and then you try to use it and say that this thing, when you're dealing with animals, it's in the animals, and we already know that, number one, these are what you call defects. This is what you call mutations. And different things like that. For instance, anybody that has common sense would know that you analyzing somebody is not that the anal is made for defecation. Also, it's not like how the vagina is. It's nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? There's no production going in somebody anally. So we see that when we this is what natural selection is telling us right here. You know what I'm saying? And this is where the problems come in at, because people, they want to govern themselves according to their emotions or what they feel and their own appetites. For instance, I'm going down this highway right now. Hey, to be honest, I want to do 80 or 100 all the way to the house.
but there's something written there that tells me the speed limit is 70. So I have to abide by the speed limit. But if there wasn't nothing written here, I can do what I want to do. Does that mean that it's safe to do what I want to do? No, because they have put out there, and statistics tell you that if you're doing those type of speeds, it can cause you to get into accidents. So therefore, they give you proper speeds to do and to remain in. That's why it is important to have things that's written. So when you don't obey your conscience or govern yourself accordingly, then there is something that is written to govern your folly. Therefore, you cannot reason within your mind. Because how many of y'all know out there that you can what call sear your conscience? Your conscience, as I've been explaining all through this discussion, is what is good and what is not good. So therefore, you have the knowledge of that, and it's common sense. But if you sear your conscience or if you override your conscience, you begin to reason with your mind. And when you reason with your mind, you will make statements, as this brother said, that homosexuality is unnatural. Which is unnatural. You will make statements that it is natural. This brother just said it is natural, knowing that when you go up into another man, there's no production about that. Matter of fact, that causes depopulation. There's no production about that. No,
LaRon, if I could just have 10 seconds, brother. 10 seconds, good brother, please.
Go ahead.
I would just like to add to the listening audience, please, if you could check out Genesis 19 and tell you what the good holy book tells you about homosexuality. And also, in your spare time, feel free to check out the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, and look into the statistics on homosexuality and AIDS and sexually transmitted disease, okay? And last but not least, let's just remember that Leviticus 18 and 20 lets us know about homosexuality and its abominations, and I think we know the punishments that are in store with that. But go ahead, LaRon, finish this out. I'm shocked.
Yeah, LaRon only got a few minutes left, man. I gotta let Reggie get in, man. So we gotta definitely continue this conversation. But Reggie, final words, brother. Go ahead.
Hey, man, I appreciate the time and everybody that called in. Once again, I enjoyed the conversation. Once again, if you need any clarification, any references, Haitian Free Thinkers at gmail.com, 678-820-9474. You can text, leave a voicemail, whatnot. I'm looking forward to speak to some more of your people some more. I'm open to it. Hopefully Mr. Brooke and Kate shows up. Big shout outs to Josh, you know what I mean, wherever he's at, you know what I mean. I really want to talk to him. And also, if anybody in the future want to explain to me this whole 12 tribes thing, that's something that I'm very curious about. I'd like to have someone explain that to me because I'm looking for that information. But besides that, thank you for your time, and look forward to hearing from you some more.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Stanley of Sin No More Ministries, here to encourage you all to support Sal Showtime on Debate Talk for You. Those that have been showing support, you have been such a blessing to this powerful ministry, in so much that this show is still on the air because of your heartfelt love gift. For those who are unable to give, we are still praying that you reach down into your pocket for $1. Yes, that's exactly what I said. I said $1. That same paper that you use for that vending machine. Amen? That dollar will make so much of a difference in this ministry. If you go to PayPal and set up your account, you can do it in so much that they can only reach out $1 every month from your check. You won't even feel it. And the show will stay alive on the air because of you. You'll have such powerful debates every week for years to come. So go to www.paypal.com, then use the email debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. That is debatetalk4u@gmail.com to donate. God bless you all.
Thank you.